Episode 133 of The Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Support the show at patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Our supporter of the week is Nolem. We're also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Welcome to episode 133 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dills, and with me, as always, is Deegan.
Hey, how's it going?
So we expected this to be a shorter week, news-wise, but turns out not really the case. But to start things off, they drop yet another Song of the Elves poll blog. So we'll go through some of the changes they did there.
Yeah.
They drop a dev blog on us this week about updating or at least tweaking the new player experience. How can you supplement it? It's not so much changes with Tutorial Island, but some things surrounding that and things that come afterwards. But not just that, they also drop a dev blog on the state of PvP and some ideas that they have in regards to changing and some nerfs, some tweaks. It's interesting to say the least. And then finally, for community chatter, at least with this, it was a bit of a slow one. So when we get to this segment here, we're going to talk about the skill ideas that we have, that we pitched last week. We told each other that Deegan's idea to spend the week thinking of some skill ideas because warding's been such a fiasco, and see if we can come up with anything better. So we'll talk about that after the news. But before we get into all of that, Deegan, how was your week? Do anything exciting?
Honestly, old school related, I literally fished.
You said that last week too.
Oh, it'll be like that for one or two more episodes, depending how much I 3-tick.
Was it 3-tick fishing? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I do a bit of it.
Ugh.
So I have 19 hours of 3-tick fishing.
Damn. Okay. So that's got to be a hefty amount of experience.
Yeah, like I'm just under like 2 mil total. And like I won't consistently get max rates because I do make a lot of mistakes. And I'm not like, if I'm 3-ticking, I'll do it for like 20-30 minutes and then I'll like go back to AFKing and doing something. You know what I mean? Like I don't push EHP but the limits. I just kind of like listen to my Harry Potter, my audibletrial.com,
all that
wild
good stuff.
I'll like listen to an audiobook and I want to like do something, but I don't know what to do. So I'll just like 3-tick for a bit and then go back to AFKing. But if I'm AFKing like the whole time, it'll be like two episodes till I'm 99.
God damn. So what level, how much progress did you get this week?
I haven't checked my like experience gains, but I have like, I think just under 2 mil total needed till I'm done fishing. So it's not too bad.
All right. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Fun, exciting stuff.
So I guess on the side of that, I've been playing like random games. Rainbow Six, Mordhau, Vanilla WoW, private server.
Oh, I was going to say, I saw an article saying how it looks like it might be planned to be released in the summer. Classic WoW.
Yeah, there's like a lot of speculation. Like, I guess as of recording, like when we release this the next week, like the weekend that's going to be coming, they have like a big announcement. But it's going to be an announcement of an announcement. Like, it's not going to be like, hey, the beta. It's going to be like, yeah, closed beta invites will be handed out in like 3 months.
So the shit that I dealt with the Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
Waited for the big announcement so they can announce when the Rift is dropping, which is 3 weeks after that announcement.
Yep. Because around this time, usually like subscriptions die off like super hard for WoW.
Yeah, I can see that. And plus with summer coming around, people are probably going to be doing other things, you know what I mean?
It's like Christmas time and then this time, or like the big sub drops. At least before when I was playing, like I say seriously, but like not like I wasn't like a mythic raider, but like I wasn't like top tier. Mm-hmm. But I was like a really good guild with like, pretty good guild with like a bunch of like really close buddies. And at this point, all of us would like kind of stop playing because there's no content. We're like done.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's it. I've been crushing Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's good. So far, so good.
Oh, yeah. Blew my mind. Mainly because like I don't know anything, right? So I've been getting super into that. Work. I don't think there's anything really to talk about specifically. So I'm going to really have not that much for the next couple weeks. But yeah, what'd you do?
You know what? literally fished.
Yeah.
Basically did the same thing. I went from 82 to 85.
Nice.
It's picking runecrafting as my first grind was a wise choice because everything feels so much faster.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing that, I'm playing Minecraft on the side a bit because that was a game I haven't touched since beta, and I know that was a huge fad. And I mean, like it was a, I don't know, like
It was the Fortnite at one point.
it was what RuneScape was when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
When but I just never touched it. I think I have the same syndrome that the people who don't play RuneScape have, where they look at the game, they're just like, the game looks, it's blocky, right? Minecraft, I'm like, it's whatever. I decided to actually look into it, especially with this VR coming out. That's what actually got me interested because I already bought the game, and you can play that game in VR. And I was like, oh, that might be interesting. So I decided to download it, and then I was like, shit, they've added a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this game, and as I'm playing it, I'm like, it's kind of fun actually.
Yeah.
Kind of enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
Just load up some YouTube parody songs, some Minecraft parody.
oh god, is that a thing?
Yeah, I have the spider. Big shout out to that song.
I might check them out. I might not. But yeah, so just fishing, Minecraft. Been playing that Badland Brawl game on my phone. Shit, that game's got me hooked. It's one of those the freemium game I was talking about last week. But it's got me quite addicted. I like it because there's enough strategy involved that I feel like if I get good enough at the game, I could, like, the pay to win aspect wouldn't be a factor. Obviously, get to a part, and it definitely will be, but yeah, that's about it. Oh, I got a job at that radio station at the school.
Oh, nice! Congrats.
Yeah, I went there for the interview last week, and it was a group interview, which always sucks. There's two other people there with me.
Yeah,
but that's okay. So tomorrow, actually, I'm going to find out more information about it because it doesn't start till the 27th. So
now, were you asked the questions first?
They would ask a question, and whoever wanted to answer them got to answer first.
Did you go first?
I would go first a bunch, but these are my classmates too, and I feel like if I overpower, I didn't want to cut them off. That's what I was thinking. You know what? But if I feel like that would look bad. They're probably taking notes. This guy's pushing everyone else to the side. I don't want I kept being worried that I would say something the same time the other person was about to say something, but then I would just talk louder and, you know what I mean? Overpower them. So they were just okay, this guy's talking. But basically what happened is I would answer first, and then the next question would happen. Then I'd hesitate a bit. I'd look, and if you guys want to answer, okay, I'll go again. So it kind of went back and forth a bit. Yeah.
Because I have a theory that if you're doing group interviews, try to establish dominance by going first.
You want to, but at the same time, if you go last, you can think of a way better answer.
See, in my experience, if you if you're prepared, you get the good answer first, and then you force people that aren't as prepared to do what he said. At least when I got my job, I knew halfway through the interview that between me and this one dude, it's fucking my job. I'm totally gonna get the job over him. Actually, both of us ended up getting the job, and then he quit shortly after.
Nice.
But I would say something, and then a little extra, and then he would be like, yeah, pretty much what he said. Because it's just you can't top that.
You got to think of a way better answer. So one of them was the question where I got stumped on, but I went last for it, was there's two radio stations, one that plays a lot of Canadian indie rock, and then another one that plays a lot of pop music, Top 40. Mm-hmm. They asked a question about that one, the pop station. They were saying, name 3 artists that should be on that station. So that they were kind of asking, they expected you to know what's already playing on the station and what also is hot right now, right?
Yeah.
So that one I was like, oh crap, I don't know it. So I was like, I'll just wait a bit. And then the first person win, who was this guy who's a super, super nice guy. He's 19 though, straight from high school. So maybe not as much experience in interviews, but he was I don't really listen to pop music. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't really tell you. I was like, okay. And then, anyways, it got to mine and I was like, okay, I just Ariana Grande, whatever her latest album is, you got to play that stuff. And then I was name some other pop artists that I knew would be on the station, but I was they're also hot too. And it's just the names, I don't even know them really. Yeah. I just know that they're popular right now. And they were like, oh, okay. There's pros and cons of going first or last. Yeah. It gives you a chance to think of a better answer. But if you got the good answer and you're first too, that's probably the best.
What you do is if they ask someone else goes first, just put your hand up in front of the dude's face and okay, now here, and then
what he's trying to say. Let me answer for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all worked out. So I'll find out more information on that, see what the hours are like, and then build a schedule around that because I want to start streaming more. I want to, especially when VR comes out, I wouldn't mind doing some VR streams and like obviously playing RuneScape and stuff and that Rune Radio. I did a little bit today, actually. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes from there, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I guess let's jump into the news because there is quite a bit to talk about.
They made some changes with some of the items in the poll blog, but like we'll talk about that when we get there. But then one of the main things we should talk about is the completion of Fairy Tale Part 2 is no longer required to start Song of the Elves.
Okay.
They just deemed it unnecessary to lock a large quest requirement behind a new quest for the sake of an NPC standing in a fairy ring. Only in a fairy ring only accessible area.
Yeah.
They moved the NPC to a location that is accessible to all players, thus removing the need for the quest.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, which is nice.
I guess so. Yeah.
There are account builds that you don't really complete the quest, I believe. And
it helps out Turtletail, the guy who's the Prifdina's only Iron Man, Ultimate Iron Man.
Yep.
I mean, now he doesn't have to go out of his way to complete that one.
But yeah, so the current requirements are Morning's End Part 2 and Making History. And you'll need, like, all these stats will be level 70 requirement. So let's just knock them off. Agility, Construction, Farming, Herblore, Hunter, Mining, Smithing, and Woodcutting.
All right.
Yeah.
Some hefty stat requirements.
The first thing I guess we'll mention are, like, crystal shards and what they are. We'll just mention them now, but they're an untradeable resource that you gain from completing activities around Prifdina's. For example, like we'll talk about like a crystal tree, which would be like a new farming thing, and you would get some shards from it, or like the gauntlet.
Yep.
You get shards. When we refer to like shards, it'll just be like you use these shards to like charge certain pieces of equipment, or
it's like Zulrah scales, but for
crystal stuff specific. Yeah.
The elven armor.
So crystal armor, they changed it to be a new range crystal armor set. Yeah.
Before it was just a hybrid gear, right?
It was just like tank.
Yeah.
Straight like tank with like set effects. That's how the DPS came in, I believe. And they made some changes. So they chose to make the crystal armor a range set with stats similar to the black dragon hide. And there is still space for melee and mage sets to be released. The armor will degrade into an uncharged version. However, its stats won't decrease until it's uncharged. So you don't have to deal with like the need to imbue like all your crystal gear or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then you lose a charge upon each hit. Each shard will provide 100 charges, up to 5,000, and a freshly piece of armor made is 2.5k charges.
All right, that's pretty cool. What do you think of that range setup?
What do you mean by that? Like the stats or
the idea of switching from tank gear to just straight range?
I like the idea, I guess. I'm not like against it. The only thing is that range is kind of like the most OP attack style for PvM. So it is kind of weird that we start off with range because there's a lot of issues with like the blowpipe and then arguably a T-bow.
Yeah.
So I'm not really too sure. But
I know I did see some people on Reddit complaining that they choose to have like people are worried that they're going to look like crystal versions of what Dragonhide we already have. And the coif, especially as a headpiece, people complain that coifs are kind of ugly. They're kind of uncreative.
The art of, like, you mean the concept of a coif or the crystal coif?
Like coifs in general, like that we have in game.
Yeah. Yeah, they're dog trash.
Yeah, they look, I can see it. They're kind of boring, nothing crazy to see, but I do hope like this gear looks cool. Like you want people to wear it and be like, oh, neat, but you don't want like another recolored Dragonhide. Like I wouldn't want like a, I don't know, crystal looking Dragonhide, right?
Yeah, I don't want it to be like bulky and like, because like you think of like a crystal shield and it kind of looks like some sort of like clam. I forget what species a clam is. Do you know?
What species a clam is?
Yeah.
Crustacean?
Yeah. Is it a crustacean?
I don't know.
It kind of looks like some weird ass type of clam that's like opened. You know what I mean? It's like when you think of like crystal like gear, you think of like elvish, and then so it's kind of like prim, proper, mystical, like elegant, and then like the shield just is like a spiky like
I do like the shield because it almost seemed like it was hard to actually make a shield out of the crystal. So I like it how it seems like they just kind of got it to a point where like, okay, this could block shit. I don't care if it looks like a weird blob thingy.
Yeah. But yeah, as long as it's suiting, and if they're like open to the idea of like a melee and range or mage set, like the range could be really cool. The mage would be like, they'd have so much potential to make it look cool. Yeah. Like a tiara type deal.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just speculating or whatever.
I know I'd see some suggestions of instead of having just the crystal armor, giving a bonus to the crystal shield, having like a quiver.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like some sort of just one other piece.
But yeah. So the set effect with this armor set. So when all 3 pieces are worn, you'll receive a 15% damage boost and 30% accuracy to the crystal bow. This will apply partially when wearing individual pieces. So 3, 6, and I guess 15 because there's only 3 pieces.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that's enough to make the crystal bow actually used. I'm not sure where. I know like maybe the chaos elemental. That's when I like to use a crystal bow because I hate getting teleported away. And I think gives you some extra range. But even still, like blowpipe's way better.
T-bow. Well, turn off NPC or players and just hope to God you don't somehow get skull tricked.
Yeah, that's a one day. It's a one day sort of method.
Yeah. So the defensive stats are kind of what I'm interested in, but I guess it's pretty much black d'hide.
Yeah.
And then it's got 7 total prayer bonus, 2 for the head and legs, 3 for the body. Minus mage. So like for offense, it's got minus mage bonus and plus range. So like the total is minus 40 mage, plus 55 range, which is nice because my first initial thought on like the old set was like, yo, this shit's gonna be good at Zulrah.
Yeah.
It seemed really good for like learning it at least. But yeah, it gives potential for like some weird like multi-way switch crystal, like they bring in other pieces. But yeah, kind of cool. So the armor will be untradeable once it's like fully made. The I believe the seeds will be tradable though. So you would get the crystal armor seeds, then you would use shards to make them. And to make them, you would need, like for the helmet, for the coif, 70 smithing and crafting, the leg, 72 smithing and crafting, the body would be 74 for both, totaling at 300. If you don't have those levels, you have to talk to someone, and there'd be 60 additional shards per piece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so pretty pricey. And then they pull, should the crystal armor seeds be added to the gauntlet loot table, and if it passes, should it have a stat boosting effect?
I feel like they've pulled this question like twice already. It's like the third time. I'm pretty sure every time they pitch the gauntlet, like crystal shards would be coming from it.
Yeah.
Oh, crystal armor seeds.
Yeah.
Still, I always thought, the gauntlet would be spin out that stuff. Maybe that was a misread on my part.
And then they have crystal enhancement seeds. So when you combine these with crystal seeds and shards, you create an enhanced version of the crystal bow, shield, and halberd. These will work as unenhanced counterparts do, but their stats will not degrade. Thus, will replace the need for Nightmare Zone imbues.
Perfect. Sounds good. Just stop having crystal blank seeds. Like, we don't need that for every crystal tool seeds, crystal armor seeds, crystal enhancement seeds. Like, you can come up with something different. I just don't want to have a bunch of like 20 different new types of crystal seeds now, right?
Yeah.
I get confused enough as it is with the crystal, I guess it's a crystal seed used to make your weapons and the shield, and the crystal seed you use to teleport.
Yeah.
I still mix those up all the time.
The tiny elf crystal?
Yeah. Now we got more.
Yeah, exactly. The enhancement seeds will be tradable, and the shards, that enhanced equipment will not. So the enhanced crystal weapons will degrade the same rate as normal. Once a fully enhanced equipment piece is degraded, it will revert into a broken version, and you'll need recharging with the shards to be used again. You'll need 78 smithing and crafting to create one piece.
Nice.
You'll also need one crystal enhancer seed and 40 shards. So players who don't meet the requirements, you can talk to some person, and 20 extra shards, all that stuff. Due to the quest requirement change stated at the beginning of the post, the combat requirements for the imbued versions of the crystal equipment will not be changed. And then they pull this. Also to mention, if you already have an imbued crystal piece, you got to keep it.
Yeah, so go spend that 6,000.
But like, it's also going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Vintage. If this goes through, you have an item that's unobtainable anymore.
Should they just want to change the name to like whatever these new ones are called?
I hope not.
That's what I thought. I figured what would happen.
I think it'd be pretty cool to have like collector's items.
Yeah, that would be neat. I know you remember in World of Warcraft when they removed ammo, like arrows and stuff, and I kept all mine. Well, I just stopped playing it, but I would have all mine from when they did have that as a thing, and I always kept it in my bank thinking like, this is cool. I can't even get this anymore.
Yeah, there's people that have those like collector items. So the Blade of Seldor. So completing the gauntlet will also offer a rare chance of receiving the broken Blade of Seldor, the sword equivalent of the Grazi Rapier. This form is tradable, but unusable and can only be repaired with crystal shards. Each shard will grant 25 charges, up to 2.5k. Once repaired, it will slowly degrade each attack, all that good stuff. If lost in PvP, the broken blade will be dropped, all shards will be lost. 75 attack meme, but actually 75 attack. And it's got an attack speed of 4, the same speed as other swords. It's got 55 stab, 94 slash, and 89 strength.
All right, so this is a new one. What do you think of this?
Weird, but okay. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, when I read it, I was like, sure, that's kind of a boring idea. Like, we already have one in the game. This is just the slash. Like, are we gonna have a whole set of gear at 75 that has the same stats, just in different, you know what I mean, different
like,
bonuses?
We have like whip, tentacle whip, and then we have this sword, and it's like
it's gonna be tentacle whip, the Blade of Seldor, and the Grazi Rapier.
Yeah,
I don't know. It just seems like you could have done more with this weapon instead of just making it the same as a Grazi Rapier, but it's better in slash, and also it has charges. Maybe if this is used in PvP, okay, I'm a bit more on board. But like, I don't know. I just want, like, why? You're just looking to. It just seems like they're trying to figure out anything that would pass. So people look at this like, well, it's not best in slot, but it is gonna fit in the slash category.
Yeah,
which is like a tentacle whip. Let me check what those stats are. I imagine that one's not far behind. So the tentacle whip has 90 slash, whereas this one has 94. And this has a strength bonus of 86, but this has 89.
There's no poison, though.
There's no poison. Like, I don't know.
We'll see. Tentacle whip should be a faster attack rate, right? Or is it also 4?
Yeah, 4. Same.
See, like, I don't know what this would do. Like, I'm like, because I was convinced, and this is the one thing that you totally got me on, but I was convinced that the Grazi was gonna like totally like fuck with like abyssal whip prices and stuff, and tentacles, and you're like, no, that's and now like, you're 100% right on that. And so I know that this won't, because it's going to be untradeable and all that stuff.
It'll affect the rapier prices for sure, right? If this is easier to get, like, if it's the time put in to actually obtain it is easier than spending how much are rapiers now?
I don't know, like over 100 mil. The main thing is that the rapier, what made it good is that it was stab, and most things have a high slash defense because the whip has been so strong.
Yeah.
I don't really know where this. Okay, it's a bit better. What, we're gonna start staking with this now? Not really. It's gonna be a pain in the ass to get, and all those guys that have NMZ staking accounts.
I guess what I'm trying to say, like, it fits it fits a spot in the game. Like, it's not necessary. No one's really asking for this, but it's like, okay, you could slip this in, and people are like, okay, it's like it's a little bit better than the whip. Fine, it's on par with the rapier. Okay, we have 2 now, but you're really crowding this level 70 attack, level 75 category with yet another thing that's like not stronger than the other things in that category, but it's like it's different.
I mean, I would honestly probably put this at 80. And like thinking about it, like Iron Man, it like removes PVM scape. That's like the only thing I can think of.
How so?
Because like if you're an Iron Man, or I guess in general, but typically for Iron Man, if you're going to be doing Theater of Blood or Chambers of Xerxes, you want to be stockpiling whips but Kraken or
right
whips and stuff. But you also need Kraken, I guess, 1 for the whip and then like 10 for the trident.
Yeah.
But like you're probably gonna like this kind of offsets the need to always have an extra whip floating. And then because there's going to be a ton of like, we'll go into like a bunch of ways to actually gain shards from Prifddinas, but I feel like they're looking to like change or like maybe push players away from just grinding Slayer, like doing activities in this new town.
Yeah. Okay.
For us, we're probably like, okay, but there could be some Iron Men out there that are like, dude, this is huge. This is a game changer.
To me, it's too similar to the rapier. So like now you're going to have this new sword and now you have the rapier and you're just going to use the two depending on if it's weak against slash or stab, right? Which is like, I'm totally cool with. But the thing is, this is tier 75. I don't want they have to move to tier 80 eventually, but then we're going to deal with the same shit. And like, I mean, people are worried about getting to tier 99, but fuck, I would like to get there in my lifetime, no?
I've made this argument before, but it's better to have a stacked 99 tier than have a stacked 75. Because as of right now, you could probably work out the math, figure out like what can be considered a 99 tier or like even a 90 tier weapon, and the stats would be insane. It's like the Blizzard stat crunch fiasco.
Yeah.
Where like every expansion, we talk about WoW a lot on this podcast. Like
it happens quite
every episode.
People are probably raging like, I fucking hate this game, or man, I've never even played it. I have no idea what you're talking about. But it's an interesting story because WoW came into this problem.
Yeah. So if you've never played WoW, pretty much every expansion, you get like 5 to 10 levels that you can grind on your account, but also like more gear, and then during an expansion they come out with like higher tier raids, which gives you more like, you know, levels, and better gear gives you higher stats. But it gets to a point where like you have a couple million HP and the boss you have billions. It's like you're playing Diablo or something.
Yeah.
So then what they do is these weird stat squishes where they bring everyone down to like 20,000 HP.
It's like they remove a couple zeros from the number.
Yeah, and then they add this weird mechanic where if you're fighting gray level, like mobs that you're X amount of levels above, you do this much damage to.
Yeah, so you can't just one-shot shit, right?
Well, like if you go back to old content, you can hit like 28 million on something, right?
Oh, they revert. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
They might be like forcing themselves in this really weird predicament where they like, I have to go like, all right, this accordion can't close anymore. And then they have to like, and just do this ugly noise and like pull it apart, like stretch out that accordion. And then the notes and stuff would be the weapons.
I could see happening a year or 2 years down the road is they look at, like, maybe they finally bring out a tier 80 and they're like, okay, we did fuck ourselves. In the short term, having just a tier 75 was easy to pull shit, but now we have to move past it. So I bet you 2 years from now, they're going to go back and be like, we're doing a game integrity change. We're going to rebalance all these items in tier 75, but we're also going to move things to tier 80.
I'll take it one step further.
Oh boy, here we go.
This month,
this
week, this time frame, next year, instead of looking at PvP stuff and all that we'll be talking about and new player experience, they're going to be looking at like end game item tier balancing. Mm-hmm. And because it's integrity, it's going to be some next level shit that Jagex has been planning where they're like, maybe this is what their plan is the whole time and this is just some next level shit, but like
tier 75 is a placeholder is what you're saying.
They goad us into like, okay, tier 75. Okay, yeah. It's good. Okay, fine. We'll allow these new weapons. Power creep. No, it's not a thing. And then they go like, okay, you guys you activated my trap card. Is this an integrity change? We're going to rebalance all these how we actually wanted to do it like years ago. And then they're going to stretch all the all the items out across the levels and change all their stats. because it's game integrity, and then they don't have to pull it. You know what I mean? Maybe they're just playing us this whole time.
But they will have to do that. And if they don't, they're just...
I don't mind.
No, I think they need to, because like this game's been over 5 years, right?
Yeah.
6 years. And like we haven't got a new tier of armor.
You know what it is? It's like we have 75 attack and mage, or like 85 mage, and we're like trying to get Zalr killed. I don't know. That whole meme. As like you try to like climb that PVM wall, they're like trying to climb this dumb community. The arbitrary requirements they need to get stuff passed.
A lot of weird things, but I'm sure we'll see it where they revisit this content and like kind of split things up a bit.
Yep.
For now, they can squish in a few more. Well, we need a one-handed crush at tier 75.
Well, my main thing is that, well, we already have that.
One-handed?
Well, it's not meant for crush, but Dragon Hunter Lance. That item... That item out of nowhere, like, changed old meta super hard. It replaced, like, 3 items in one go.
Well,
pretty nuts. Like, it replaced, like, at least in groups, you don't need an Elder Maul, you don't need a stab weapon, and you don't need a whip. You just bring one weapon now.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on. We got a lot more to cover. The Prifddinas Agility Course.
Do you want to talk about did you say the poll question?
Oh, yeah. The poll question is pretty much the weapon.
Yeah, should it be added? And like, this is my problem with it. I'm sure most people are going to go, yeah, it's not too game breaking. But at the same time, most people will be like, yeah, it's just could have done a little bit more. But this is playing it safe, way too safe.
Yeah.
Can't play it safe for 6 goddamn years.
Yeah. But I think what they're planning on doing is they sneak this in and then melee armor, and then people are going to want melee, like a melee set armor that would go with this and make a best in slot, but you have to grind out a lot of shards.
Yeah, okay.
The agility course, which is kind of an interesting take. Do you want to do the lore?
The Heffen clan have a strong focus on harmony, and their time is often spent on meditating. However, through their teachings on bettering oneself, they also focus on improving their body through strength and agility. To help train their agility, the Heffen clan has created a new agility course that works different to the ones found throughout Gielinor. For completing the quest, they want to offer you the chance to use their new course. The course will require 75 agility and offer approximately 56k agility experience per hour at level 90 agility. It will feature shortcuts that bypass small sections. However, the available shortcut will move each lap and will be different for every player. These shortcuts increase the maximum potential experience per hour at level 90 to 62k. Oh, okay, so you get like an extra 6,000 experience by doing these. When training at the agility course, there is a chance you will find crystal shards on the ground. It'll be a low rate of around 8 an hour.
So for reference, pretty much at 90, it's the exact same. It's at, so like this would be optimal for 90 to 96 agility.
62,000k experience is like really good.
I believe at 96 at Ardown or Ardy or Ardugany, however you want to call it.
Ardragon.
Yeah, at 96, I think you get 62k. This would supplement like 6 levels.
God, that makes me so sad. It's so low for such a shitty skill.
I mean, this is kind of interesting because it's like a rooftop, but there's a rotating shortcut that's different for everyone.
Yeah.
And I know Ardown or Ardy, Ardugany, whatever. Ardy is known for, you can do it with your eyes closed because it's so like you can take naps in between each like obstacle.
I kind of hope we have the same thing with this. I hope it's more downtime.
I think it's going to be more uptime. You have to figure out where the shortcuts are if you want to maximize your experience rates.
I think doing it without doing the shortcuts, this is my hope, is that doing it without the shortcuts will be the most AFK way of training agility, but you can do the shortcuts and you'll gain extra experience and it becomes more click intensive. Obviously, like you have to pay more attention.
Yeah. At 75 agility, I think it is a little bit better than Seer's Village by like 1,000 with the Kandran Hards done. But also Werewolf agility, still better. It's not the best, but this supplements like you doing Seers until with the Seers like bank teleport.
To make this a big success, I think it would need to be like the AFK way of training it. Maybe not as much as blood runes.
Artie is already pretty AFK.
I haven't been there, but still having to wait till at least 85 to boost for it is a lot. So like maybe having this at 75 might
I mean, agility, the name itself, it shouldn't be AFK. It's agility, agile.
Just give me a goddamn treadmill to run on.
I mean, RS3 is the thing where you click on a pole and your guy just like stands there for a bit.
You can get the boots that train it when you do Slayer and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
I disagree, but whatever. We won't go into that again. And they have like a little like basic idea of can't really describe what the image is, but
it's one big circle and like two smaller circles inside of it for the most part.
Yeah. Hexagons, some squares, some dots.
It just shows you can do the long way, but there'll be shortcuts that'll help you skip a huge section of it.
Yep. And then poll question for this is, should this be a thing? With the rates and all that as described. And then up next is Iworth's Dungeon. So it would be kind of similar to the Kurend and Knees Cave put together.
Oh.
So, and Konar are going to assign tasks here once you unlock it. But, so I say it's like Knees because it's single way, that's canonable. And I say it's like the Kurend Catacombs because you have a chance on getting crystal shards.
True.
So within this Slayer area, there'd be 9 Dark Beasts across 3 rooms. So, 3 each. 12 Karass across 4 rooms. 9 Necreals across 3. 9 Blood Velds across 3. 12 Water Fiends across 3. And 6 Moss Giants across 2. Regardless of the dungeon passing a poll, the Dark Beasts in the Kurend Catacombs will be removed.
Sounds good. I don't know anyone who goes there to kill them anyways. It's the worst place to kill them.
I mean, you get one handy dandy teleport to the Dark Beast lair with your Slayer ring.
Yeah, I think the only people who do that who don't want to do the quest.
And then, I guess I kind of mentioned it before, but crystal trees. You want to do the lore stuff?
Yeah, the Kriz clan. It's missing a vowel. What a weird word. CRWY. The Kriz clan.
And sometimes Y.
Yeah.
AEIOU and sometimes Y.
The Kriz clan are expert farmers and woodcutters. They help provide much of the food needed in Privdinas and help to supply other plant-based resources such as wood. After stumbling upon a crystal acorn, of course, the Kriz clan found a new way to gain crystal shards through farming. For completing the quest, they want you to offer the opportunity to farm your own crystal trees. This unique crystal tree farming patch will require a crystal acorn and 74 farming to plant. Crystal acorns will be untradeable, but can be obtained from a nearby NPC in exchange for other crystal seeds. And they can be stored in the seed vault. The NPC will accept the following: crystal tool seeds, crystal armor seeds, crystal enhancer seeds, crystal weapon seeds, crystal teleport seeds. That's ridiculous. Come on. Think of other things. Damn it.
Yeah.
Give me scrolls. I don't care. Like, I don't want to. Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yeah.
You want to give us the details of this tree?
Yeah, sure. So it takes about 8 hours to grow, and it won't die or become diseased. Once fully grown, it can be harvested with an axe. This will empty the patch. You gain crystal shards and the occasional nest, and will offer a chance to obtain the farming pet.
Cool.
13K when you harvest it.
Nice.
Should this be a thing?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm very underwhelmed by a lot of these updates.
I think it's because it's crystal this, crystal that. It's like Breaking Bad.
And it feels like none of this really feels that new. Like the gauntlet itself, I'm excited for, but like the armors, okay, it's nothing new and exciting. It's just something different.
I think because like
different,
just crystal this, crystal that.
Maybe
it's kind of just like takes away any wow factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, more crystal stuff. But on the topic of more crystal stuff, enhanced crystal chests. So you can pretty much upgrade your crystal key with shards, and you could unlock a special chest for some extra rewards.
Cool. That's a good idea. I like to keep my crystal keys to go unlock that one chest. It's kind of fun.
10 shards, 80 smithing and crafting. You can also pay 15 shards to the elf, and they'll do it for you.
Right on.
Yeah. And then the infinite teleport crystal.
Nice. There it is.
Yeah. You know those tiny elf crystals that you use to get like the fruit tree patch?
Oh, yeah.
And then you run out and you forget to charge it, so you just stop doing that fruit tree.
Yeah, and then you have to go figure out where it is. You have to go on the wiki, pull up the map, because Proof Venus is a pain in the ass to navigate without a map. Every time I'm there, I'm pulling up the wiki to see, like, how the hell do I get over here?
Yeah. They want to add an infinite version. This could be pickpocketed from the citizens or dropped from the guards. It would be tradable. Only usable if you've completed this quest, though.
Cool, I'm down for that.
Yep. I guess this is where things get squirrely.
Oh, here we go.
Divine potions.
Shit.
Do you want to go over the old lore?
Yeah, the Melier clan are a clan of chefs, scientists, and explorers. They experiment heavily with the produce provided by other clans to create potions, foods, and other supplies for the city. In a recent experiment, the Melier clan, that's what we're going to go with. I'm switching it on the spot. The Melier clan found that by grinding up crystal shards and adding them to various potions, they could create something like they like to call divine potions. For completing the quest, they want to offer you the ability to use a pestle and mortar on crystal shards to create crystal dust for 10 dust per shard. This dust will be usable in various potions to create the divine versions of it at a very low experience rate of 2 experience per potion. What the fuck is that? Whatever. You get 2 experience per potion. The divine potions will have the same effects of the base potion, but will renew its effect every 15 seconds for 5 minutes. They will drain 10 hit points when drunk, and the damage will not be healed at the end of the 5 minutes. When the potion expires, you will be put straight back to base level. The potion will be tradable, but the dust would not.
So, basic example on how it works. Let's say you have 99 strength. You take a divine super combat potion, go to level 118, boosted, and you have 5 minutes of 118. But if you drink a brew down to like 112 or you're on 105, you'd stay at 105. If you go under 99, then you lose the effect of the potion. You can't like restore from 105 to 118.
Okay.
So the available potions are divine in front of all these, but super attack, strength, defense, and combat. And then you got like the ranging, magic, bastion, and battle mage. All divine variants.
All right.
So this is pretty much overload minus. It's like an overload potion.
Yeah, just a shittier version.
Yeah.
On paper, it seems like not a terrible idea.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of cool because you take some damage, and I guess that the effects don't last as long as like a super combat. It would change like PVM quite a bit in terms of like grinding Vorkath like per hour. I like the idea, but then it just kind of makes me wonder, like, will I have to just take this everywhere now? Is this the new thing?
It's hard to say. You'll have to grind out the shards yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it might be kind of like how people deal with granite cannonballs. You know, I'll get a gargoyle task, and I'm like, okay, I'll go do some of the boss, get some of the dust, but I don't have an infinite amount. I run out way faster before I get another gargoyle task. So this one, like you will, if you want to use these all the time, you're going to be constantly going to the gauntlet and doing stuff in Proof Venus.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of times I know myself, I might be too lazy. I might like, well, I want to do Slayer now. I don't want to stop my Slayer tasks. I ran out of these potions and go grind for a couple hours just so I have enough potions to last me the week.
Yeah. My main thing is, when it comes to like with Granite Dust specifically, I went and did like one complete gargoyle task at the Dusk and Dawn.
Yeah.
And I have like a fuck ton of dust. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the difference is like you won't get a Slayer task to go do the gauntlet. You'll have to go out of your own way to do it.
Yeah, but it seems like they're setting up the gauntlet for something that like it's like solo Xerix.
Yeah,
it's like for someone that doesn't want to solo Xerix, like it's like a solo variant of a raid, and I think they're betting on people wanting to do that like all the time as much as people do Xerix and Theater of Blood. Like
if it's done well and if it's fun, that's cool. That's a great idea to be able to make it like people having to be forced to go there constantly. That's an interesting idea.
But this puts a lot of pressure on Jagex to make all this content like Zalcano and the Gauntlet. It has to be like amazing.
Yeah, it has to be on the same level as raiding is.
So like
it can't be another Hydra. Whereas the Hydra's not a terrible boss, but like people like do a lot of content, like they'll do it endlessly, right? Thousands of kills on different bosses. Of course, you're gonna get kind of bored from it.
Yeah.
But you can't be completely bored. Like, I can't have... Last thing I want is to be standing in the gauntlet entrance for like 20 minutes because I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I'm distracting myself.
Well, like, some people are just like that in general, right? Like, no matter what, it's like a mindset type thing. Like, I'll have a buddy that before every Vorkath trip will sit there for 20 minutes on YouTube. And then he's like, man, this task takes forever. Yeah, you're getting like 30 kills a night because you're like half the night you're sitting on Discord complaining to me about how awful Vorkath is and how slow it is between each trip and how much you need a hunter crossbow.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're taking 20 minutes to kill it like twice in a trip or 3 times. And then you're taking it. It's like, so if people have that with the gauntlet, I think it's there, unless it's just bad, right?
If it depends how well they design it. If it's designed more like raids and less like pest control, right? Last thing you want is it to feel like pest control. You're like, all right, well, I may as well spend the next weekend. I should spend all weekend grinding it so I don't have to just pull the trigger. I don't ever want to come back here again. So let's get as much done as I can in one sitting.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be raids, but for someone who has no friends.
I would hope so. Yeah. That seems good.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm not opposed to all these ideas. It's just like Jagex could potentially be doing the same mistake that RS3 did, but in a different way.
What mistake?
So Prifdis became like the elite area in RS3.
Yeah.
Where like that's where you'd see like all the high level players and stuff. And it quite literally divided the RS3 community where no one was like mingling, right? Because they had the GE there and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I think that was a big factor. The Grand Exchange was also in Prifdiness.
Yeah. Because this area seems very self-sustaining and very necessary to get some of this high-end gear that like players will be chilling here for extended amounts of time, going to the GE, putting all the bots on ignore as they run through the GE and then going back there. I don't want like an even bigger divide because there's already a pretty big divide with like higher end, like more like elitist community. Like they're very out of touch with the average player.
Yeah.
Check my Twitter when you see me getting arguments with those people. It's really fun. And I kind of worry that like this is like, well, there's no GE. There's no like best in slot. I mean, you could argue like I held off on doing agility because I was so unsure with this course, right? Okay. One of the reasons why it's not like the skill I'm going for 99 next. That and because fishing free agility.
Hell
but like this, like, you hit 75 agility, you stay here till like 96, and then you go to Artie if you want. But you want the shards. There's trade-offs, whatever. There's the gauntlet. There's going to be Zalcano. There's all these like little things that like they want people to be staying in the city for extended amounts of time for these shards. And it's like there's so much shit being like put in. And they're like, hey, we also have some ideas to add more stuff later on.
Yeah.
With other armor sets. Kind of makes me worried. Before I ramble too much, all the potions
are pulled.
Yeah. I guess we should mention the levels. Kind of went over the levels. But to make these potions, you need 70 Herblore for attack, strength, and defense. 74 for the range. 78 for magic. 86 for the Bastion and Battle Mage. And 97 for super combat. So it kind of furthers the, like, if you want those super combats, you're probably going to be there. Like, if you're the kind of person going to be there for a really long time, you're going to want to use it on a super combat.
Yeah,
I can't imagine taking 30 damage to like boot, or I guess 20, but 30 damage to get your attack, strength, and defense up.
Did they say these potions would be tradable? Oh, the potions would be tradable, but the dust would not.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to have these untradable.
This might be what make like money in Herblore. That's why I give such little experience. I think that might be
maybe.
Yeah, that might be part of the reason why.
You have to go out of your way to grind the crystals. So now when you're buying these potions, you're not just paying for the ingredients, you're paying for the dude's time who has to go grind it, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be a bit of a premium.
But also, what if you have an excess of shards and you have all the gear? You're like, I just have so many shards. And then you're like, wait a minute. Let me sell some of these super combats or these bastions or whatever. And then you could like they could use that as a way to supplement resource drops.
Yeah.
All these ideas I'm pretty meh on, mainly because like the backbone is like what we just talked about, how good the content will actually be.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it's grindable and you can enjoy it, that's great. If it's something that you, like, I don't want to feel forced to do it.
Like imagine having to do Fossil Island.
Yeah.
For like some of this stuff.
Yeah. If it turns out like Fossil Island where it's like,
what are you doing? Suliceps? Why? I need Numulites to charge my Numulite blade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Why don't you just do the Slayer when you get? It's like 3 monsters to kill here.
Yeah.
I never get tasks to come here.
Anyways, on the topic of more reasons to stay and Prifddinas, they have crystal implings.
Nice.
So do you want to do the lore?
Sure. Being the expert hunters that the Kadarn clan are, they have spotted a wild impling that is only attracted to the crystal structures inside Prifddinas. As a friend of the Elves for completing the quest, they want to offer you the chance to catch these rare crystal implings. It will occasionally spawn only in Prifddinas, requiring 80 hunter to catch with a net or 90 without. They will have their own loot table of elven-themed items, including a unique reward, the Elven Signet.
Yep. The Signet will be a new tradable ring, and when worn, offers a 5% chance to not use a shard using crystal items. Armors, tools, weapons, all that stuff. The effect will not apply to the blade.
That's weird. This that ring seems remember a while back when,
well, it's good for skilling.
Yeah, for skilling it would be good. But remember a while back, it was one of the mods. It might have been Kieran. Someone maybe made a suggestion that he liked, but he said having 2 ring slots, one ring for your combat rings, and then having like another ring slot that was for like rings of dueling. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Like the teleporting rings, the ring of wealth would maybe go in there.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's 2 ring slots, that'd be cool. And you could have this one. But besides that, I can only ever see it being used for skilling.
Yeah. Last but not least, an achievement diary.
Okay.
So for easy, you get the typical 2.5k experience, but you get a 5% yield from the allotment patch, and then you get a pendant. So another necklace being added to the game. You get a 1% chance of obtaining double crystal shards from any activity. Medium is a 5%.
I think for that, though, you need to be wearing the pendant.
Yeah. The medium is 7.5k experience, 5% yield from all allotment patches. And with the pendant, 2% of doubling the crystal shards from any activity. 3 daily teleports to Gauntlet and Zalcano. For hard, you get 15k. 5% more experience in the dungeon. Is a one.
Right, yeah.
We'll sell crystal weapons for half price. The pendant was a 3% on doubling shards, 5 daily teleports. The elite is 50k, 10% more Slayer experience, and increased chance to obtain more increased chance to obtain more crystal shards from the agility course. The pendant will give you 4% chance to get double the shards and unlimited teleports to the Gauntlet and Zalcano.
Interesting. I didn't expect an achievement diary to be popping up.
Yeah.
It seemed, because with Zaya, they, remember how long it took them to get the diaries for that? Yeah. It's because there wasn't enough content to do on Zaya, and they also didn't have enough rewards to offer.
Yeah.
But it seems like they kind of threw that whole thing out for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like these rewards are very...
Like they're very much trying to make this like an area, not just like a town you visit.
I think it's too early. I think they need to add more activities to do, and then the rewards from these diaries. Like I see none of these diary rewards being like must have.
Well, like we have a lot of things right now in terms of like all the mining and skilling you can do, the agility. We don't even know what Zalcano, like we kind of know what the Gauntlet is, but like all we know is that Zalcano is a skilling boss that you make money from, and you get like a little amount of experience. Gauntlet is like solo raids, dungeoneering.
But the rewards, there's not enough. Like every diary I can look at, and there's usually one thing. Like the rest of it, a lot of junk rewards, but there's always one reward that I'm like, that's a must-have. This one, there's nothing. Like, okay, the teleports, that's not even a must-have. That's more of like how often do I need unlimited Gauntlet teleports for a day? Like medium gives you 3. That seems like plenty.
Well, I don't know. It depends how
much,
how good the content is in the game. The allotment patch seems pretty big. The media, 5% yield from all allotment patches.
Oh, that's in general.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, allotments though.
Snape grass.
That's about it. Strawberries if you want to make a little bit extra cash.
Watermelons.
Yeah.
Compost.
A little lackluster, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like they should figure out some more rewards before bringing this out. Maybe I would bring this out after the whole update even drops.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is that there is a lot, but it's because everything's called crystal. It feels like there's nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
The one thing that bugs me is that, like, in my mind, if you're an elf, you're like a human that's magic.
Magic, yeah, and they're like more in tune with nature.
Yeah,
I think
like,
of the
that's
typical like D&D or Lord of the Rings elves.
Yeah, like that's kind of like the most watered down version is like magic human. Like your baseline, more mystical, and you like obviously you look different, but like age slower.
Yeah,
you're like
a lot more. They come off as high class, right?
Yeah.
Just generalizing. When you think of an elf, you think of like,
but they have like weird typical mystical traits where like they're lighter but they're also taller and like bigger. Or like magic's like literally ingrained with some of the shit they do. Like like you have like
it's like a tool to them.
Like an elvish blacksmith would make some like enhanced weaponry.
Yeah.
Not like glass.
Yeah.
Like Skyrim. It's like what, like, you know, like the glass armors and weapons in Skyrim.
Yeah. But even that, like I think of like, yeah, their armors are more, they're lighter, but they still are super strong.
But like this is all like they're just meth heads.
Yeah.
All they're obsessed with crystal and like, yo, I got a sick idea. Yo, Jesse, or Mr. White, put some of this in a ranging potion.
Oh, they better have some sort of
some Breaking Bad references.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like blue. It's gonna be granite dust, but like blue.
Crystal.
There's gonna be like a slum. There's gonna be a slum with a bunch of people just ripping like this dust. Like, oh man, I got 5 minutes. I feel divine, dude.
Overall thoughts, like summed up for this devblog?
They're putting way too much pressure on themselves. They have extreme confidence that like their content in this city is gonna be sick.
You think you're hoping,
like,
or you think?
I think because like a lot of like the best in slot shit's going to be gated behind having to do this grind. Like they've already pulled like the hatchet and the pickaxe, which would be like the best in slot for like gathering, right? In terms of like actually gathering the resource, right?
Well, bringing in this new city, they better be pushing out like some really good content, because you can't get away with like Fossil Island where it's like, okay, whatever, it is what it is. This is a city that a lot of people are like, I've wanted to go there since I was like 10 years old. When you bring this out, this better satisfy like the wait. You're not going to, obviously, but the wait, you want to walk and be like, oh, this is sick. This is so, you don't want to walk in and you're just like, oh, they just reskinned Varrock.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be like cuckolded into staying here for extended amounts of time.
No, I think everyone is, if you want to make use of all the gear. The problem will be is if you don't want to stay there to do the content. You want the gauntlet to be like, yeah, this is good. You know, you're bored. You finish some Slayer tasks. You're like, I don't really know what to do. Fuck it. I'm going to do a couple gauntlet runs, get some more crystals. I don't need them right now, but I will. I'll do them now. I'm kind of bored.
Pretty much that. Because I don't want to ever have the decision of like, should I do the math to find out if doing Proficiency content is efficient for my account max progress?
Yeah.
I'd hate to like, okay, I got to do 40 hours of this, but I save 3 hours in the end. You know, I really don't like that idea. But we have a ton more stuff to talk about. So
we do.
So we'll just move on. So devblog, the new player experience.
Alrighty.
They've made changes already kind of with streamlining Tutorial Island and adapting messaging throughout the game. It's been somewhat successful, but they need to keep pushing it. At least that's what they feel. And they're considering focusing on new player and early game experience, more specifically to the new player.
No, yeah, not like returning.
Yeah. The biggest challenges for a new player is getting around the map. And one way they could tackle this is introduce a new transport system that's accessible only for the first few hours of the RuneScape journey. It could connect major cities and towns in a free-to-play area and would work similarly to a magic carpet system. And they mean that, like, you see the route that your player's being taken. You're not taking magic carpets.
Yeah, you're not getting ported somewhere.
Yeah. The big benefit is that you just get to learn the routes and how to maneuver around the city. They want to make agility available to free-to-play players, faster on energy, all that good stuff. Because honestly, like getting my coworkers into RuneScape, their biggest thing is like, how long do I have to fucking walk everywhere? I'm just like, dude, look at training magic. Like get, what is it, 33 or something, unlock up to Lumbridge and spend some money on Law Runes. You can teleport between Faldor, Lumbridge, and Varrock, and that makes life so much easier. But they don't, because they, other goals, and they waste so much time running around, and it's like, what's the alternative? Spend lots of money on energy potions. What? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like this idea of like agility, but I think there's better alternatives. I think like a temporary transport system is super weird, depending on how they go about it, but a player might just think that's part of the game, and now it's like, oh, well.
Yeah.
What I would like is a quest that is quite literally like a caravan, where you're like taking a caravan, you're like, you can click, maybe left click, follow the caravan, but you attack like goblin here, goblin there.
Oh, it gets like ambushed and shit.
Yeah, just like a D&D intro, like, you know what I mean?
That's cool. It's a good idea.
And yeah, like, you go, it just takes you directly to the Dark Wizards and kills you pretty much. No, but like in all seriousness, like I think that would be more effective for you, because the quests are like what's actually memorable as like a new player.
Yeah, the quests are a lot different than any other MMO.
Yeah, and like a lot of new players like don't know what to do. At least in my experience, what they tell me, they don't know what to do. I never like unless they ask me, like, tell me what to do. Yeah. But like typically they're just like, I'll just do cook's assistant. It's right here. And then from there they're like, sheep shearer. Oh, priest in peril. And they kind of figure out like, oh, rune mysteries. And they kind of like have these moments, and then that gets them around the map.
Yeah.
And like it's like to the point where someone will like my buddy will like ask me a question, or I'll look at a stat and I'll be like, oh, that guy did like the knight's sword. He's got 29 smithing. Cool. Mm-hmm. And like you can just tell like they don't really know what to do, so they just do quests, and then that's how they learn how to get around. But it'd be neat to have like a caravan quest that would show you basic routes. Yeah, you just kill shit. Maybe it's like auto scrolling text and cutscenes that are just like, yeah, and here's this and here's that, and you're rewarded with like some like shitty like leather armor, like a bronze chain bot. You know what I mean? Like you don't get anything that good, but it's more of just like for the experience and kind of remember where to go.
I love the idea of like a caravan that like, it would be cool to have like a caravan that walked. Let's say the caravan walked from Lumbridge, and then it would make a stop to Varrock, and then it would make a stop to Falador, and then to Draenor Village, and back to Lumbridge. Like that cycle.
Yeah.
And you could just, you can click to follow, but the thing is you could miss the caravan, but it'd be cool to follow. And I love the idea of like, you're following with a bunch of newbies being like, oh, this is going to bring me to the newest city. Maybe he's like, whatever, but it'd be cool to get it like ambushed as well, where maybe he's like, okay, I can't fight. Then whoever's with him has to help fight.
Yeah.
Part of me misses those types of transportation where you would have to actually wait for that transport. Like this, everything here is instant, right? You can do it whenever you want. There's a cart, you just right click, use, and it brings you to wherever the hell you're going, or wherever it leads to. But like MapleStory had this with the airships, where if you want to go to a different area, you had to wait for the airship sometimes, which kind of sucked. Like you had to wait half an hour for it to return, and then you get onto it, and then you had to wait another half an hour for it to get to where you need to go. So it was kind of annoying at times, but I do have like a nostalgic feeling of like waiting for the ship to dock, and you're with like 20 other people all waiting, and it shows up, you all jump in, and then you're all just kind of chit-chatting and waiting to get. It was more immersive, right?
Yeah.
Because you had to wait.
Yeah, see, I would just find that shit annoying.
For a new player too, right? So like they would use it a couple times and probably not use it again.
But yeah, I prefer those types of transportation as opposed to you can only use this up until total level 150.
Yeah.
Kind of arbitrary, especially if you can see it a lot, see other people using it and you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Remove hate us because they hate us. Have you know what? No, keep them in, but have a snake oil salesman or a traveling magician, that type of a traveling carriage.
Yeah.
Have him attached to it, preferably. Make him the horse, but have him in a cow or a horse. I don't care what animal. And you talk to him, and then you would just walk with that caravan for the quest or something.
Yeah.
And then maybe he'll just be silly and say some silly stuff, do whatever, typical memes. Maybe he'll I don't know, what do kids do? Dab? Who knows?
Floss.
Yeah, he'll do his memes. And then he dies to some dark wizards, and then
he leads him straight to the dark wizards.
Yeah.
No.
Anyways, moving on. So the beauty of old school RuneScape comes from the freedom that our players enjoy. The moment you leave Tutorial Island, you're free to do whatever you want. As a result, a lot of players get overwhelmed, and they want to introduce early objectives to get them started. So helping new players train their combat stats by offering useful equipment as a reward for achieving minor milestones, explaining what the purpose of training the combat skill is and how they can do so, preparing the player for adventuring and fighting beyond the minor milestones, demonstrating the value of membership.
Of course.
Yep. The Dennis system.
Dennis
system from It's Always Sunny.
Started watching that show, so I might understand this.
Well, there's an episode dedicated to it. You'll probably get there soon.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. But perhaps most importantly, we don't want to do anything that might ruin the nostalgic early experience. So pretty much everything they suggested would ruin the nostalgic experience. What ruins, imagine jumping on a game where it's you can do anything, but do these. Oh yeah, by the way, you should become a member. You know what I mean? You're kind of oh, dude, get that shit out of my face. You're already pushing bonds.
Yeah. I do like the idea of milestones because that's one thing that helped me with RuneScape 3. When I would try to play that game and I was so confused in it, but I liked having the milestones to be I'll just do this. It'd be spin some flax. I'm going to spin some flax because that's going to help me slowly be introduced into the game.
Yeah.
RuneScape's great because you can do whatever the hell you want, but that is something that causes some people to be they don't get hooked fast enough because they're I don't really know what to do. Well, do I do anything? It's fun.
Yeah, it's part of the RuneScape that MMO mindset though. I guess that some people have, or I don't Spring Up World of Warcraft, but if you play WoW as a new person, what ends up happening is that you make an account. They're hey, you get a free boost level 110, and you're okay, well, I'm going to just do that because fuck it. And then it's here's a 20-minute tutorial on how to use your class, and now go do the last bit of content that just came out, and you're okay.
Yeah.
And then you get to that point and you're now start doing dungeons and raid. I know players get turned off by that. And I love picking up new MMOs and just getting lost. Quite literally, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm level, you know what I mean? I'm level 15 playing Elder Scrolls Online. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm just kind of doing quests I can do this or that. You know what I mean? I like the idea of jumping on EVE Online for the first time and just being there's so many buttons. There's so many I gotta just read all my UI. I gotta just figure this out.
That can be fun, but can also, I don't know. It can also cause players to just tap out. You know what I mean? RuneScape 3 did that to me, but the only thing my hand was held a little bit more in that because of all the new changes and stuff. But I know I've played a ton of games and I try to get into it and then I would play it for a day or whatever. And I'd eventually be don't know what the point of any of this is.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of part of a skill that people have or can develop through RuneScape, that self-starter and taking initiative, just figuring it out, or or to be like, fuck it, I'm gonna cut trees. Like on mobile release, I still remember this dude who was like giving out free gear. And he was like level like 8, and he was just like in like shitty bronze gear. And I was like talking to him, and I'm like, I traded him. He gave me like a bronze mace. I was like, nice, man, thanks, I really appreciate that. He's like, no problem. When I asked him like, so like, what are you doing? And he's like, I just want to be like the best blacksmith. I want to be known as like that blacksmith. And like right now, I'm only at bronze. I understand that, but hey, if I keep at it, I don't really know what to do with this bronze gear. I don't want to sell it for like 20 GP. Like, what if I'm like making mithril? And like he was like kind of like really excited with that aspect of like, it's the dumbest thing you can do. Like, like really, like you're gonna stand outside lumber, just like become the guy on world 482.
Kind of what like Blue Rose was back in the day.
Yeah, but like,
I need a mithril equipment. Oh, you got to hit this guy up, man.
Yeah.
He's your guy right there. He doesn't play at all, though.
That's kind of like the mindset he had. And it was like, I was like, man, like that's the type of shit that like gives RuneScape life. And then if there's like, the milestones aren't like, hey, you're 40 attack, here's an untradeable rune scimitar. It's like steel, longsword, here's some law runes at level 20 magic. It's very, very low level. But it will just cause someone to play for an extra day or two. And then after they hit like a milestone or something, they don't know what to do because they don't see the reward. And like, that's the whole point of RuneScape is you kind of have to like make the reward. Where personally, what do I get out of 99 fishing? That I'm never going to use agility experience, but that's what I get out of fishing. But like realistically, like I don't like, I do it just because like I want the achievement.
Yep.
And I want to like max. Like I have personal goals I've set. And if they like made it sort of like at 99 fishing, you can now hunt whales, or you can ride a whale around in the ocean. I don't know. You can go SeaWorld or something. Like, I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? Where like there's like an obvious milestone where you get like a big reward. It like takes away like what makes the game super sandboxy and like unique. But I like, it's kind of hard because like there's also the whole like, what can you do? Anything.
Okay.
All right. Buying GF. I don't know, double my money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's how you improve new player experience. They do mention that like if you're a veteran, you can utilize these miles further, like make account progression like less tedious in the early levels, or like more optimized.
Yeah.
And they're going to be untradeable, like unalchable, like all that stuff. Like yeah. And then they mention like yeah, like, I don't know. I just don't like that idea of milestones because it just creates it pushes like it's a temporary band-aid. Doesn't like
I do like it because I've been that player playing an MMO and like kind of being lost, not really sure what I'm doing. I'm just gonna kill shit. I don't really know what else to do. I'm sure something else will pop up. So I'm just killing shit, and then I don't really know where to go from here. And the last thing I want to do, but this is how I feel, is like I'm gonna go in the subreddit group and be like, what's the point? Like what am I working towards? So like a game like RuneScape, it's always like, well, whatever you want to work towards. But it's like, I think it's helpful to someone to like, I'll try this. Okay, I'll do this and this. And there's like little rewards, right? But they get like little rewards from it, which might be like, oh, that's neat. I'm going to go. And then I think I'll help them further also learning the game.
Yeah, we should mention that they also like would offer more of a direction with extra dialogue and messages, hint arrows rather than predefined paths and that stuff, which I prefer. But I guess it's just different mindsets. Like when I was playing Black Desert Online, I got lost. Like I had to stop myself from playing that game because I was like, it's like, you know how RuneScape is like AFK?
Yeah.
Like Black Desert Online before it became pay to win, you could do things like literally overnight. You could like train up your horses and stuff. And like me and my friend were like, okay, let's go wrangle horses for the day. And then we ended up spending a whole weekend wrangling horses, and we like mix and match and bred our horses, and we got like special, like we were going up the tiers to like try and breed like a specific type to sell for a lot of money. And it was really fun. But you find out it's a horrible way to make money, but it was a lot of fun because like I was able to like But yeah, I was able to like figure out what my goals were. I think the biggest thing with like new player experience is because the game is so old and different, players will sit down, grind out a bunch of quests, but they don't see progress on their account.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like leaving Lumbridge to stay in Varrock to go to Falador. They find themselves constantly moving around. And like then they're like, well, fuck, what's the point of doing all these quests? That's like, at least I've seen that come up a couple times. Like people like, I was like, quote unquote, mentoring with mobile release, but then also with like my coworkers and stuff where it's like, dude, I've done like almost every free to play quest. I have like 3 left and I don't see any, like, I'm still hitting the same numbers. I'm still like the same level. Like what's going on? And then I'm like, oh shit. They don't really understand how account progression works. They don't understand that combat level and total level are very different. They don't understand that leveling magic and melee is okay. Like they want to stay as like a mage because they think that becoming like a ranger, like that now they're not a mage anymore. Like there's some like baseline like disconnection that even how death works.
Yeah.
Get a message and be like, fuck, I just died. And I just lost all my shit. I'm like, dude, you have an hour. And then they're like, really? Like, yeah, like, they don't even have like the new death mechanic explained.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is like something I brought up when mobile came out. Like they need to have like, oh, you died? This is what we do in our game when you die. Or like, this is how our leveling system works. Like, like this is what attack does. This is what, because like not everyone's going to be clicking the tool tips and then like, oh, okay. There's some like really basic things that are like not intuitive at all, which is what makes the game difficult to navigate as opposed to like it being just overwhelming. If you like, if they just, spent more time explaining the idea of like what RuneScape is.
But it's hard to do without it breaking the immersion. So I think these milestones is a good idea. And also, like, you do get rewards from them. So it says here, an example, players might receive a voucher which can be taken to the Varrock sword shop to be exchanged for a steel longsword after reaching 5 attack. Or maybe a handful of law runes for reaching magic level 20. Like, I like that idea. I like the idea of completing an easy milestone, and then you got this voucher, and you're like, I gotta go to Varrock and find the sword seller? Well, I'm gonna go do that because I want to get the new best in slot for me. Even though, like, a steel longsword, you're like, it's nothing to be excited about. But that new player's going to be like, oh, sweet, a new weapon. I got to go find who this guy is, and I got to go talk to him. Like, I think that's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, but what would stop a player from accidentally training strength to 20 and having 1 attack and being like, how do I get a better weapon?
Well, there'd be, like, milestones that they could hit, right? I don't know.
Like, explaining, like, why... Like or like how like the basic, like if a milestone's like 30 combat, how do you explain how the combat system works?
Well, they say here that they want to explain what the purpose of training combat skills is and how they can do it. You know what I mean? So like the idea is to like kind of explain like a bunch, like kind of like, hey, you don't have to stumble through it as much. You can easily like read here to figure out how to do it.
No, I guess it's just like a difference of like how, I don't know, we play MMOs, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know, but it's good. You want to bring in new players. That's like the hardest thing to do for RuneScape, right? We see it where like most people have been playing this game since they were 10 years old, or they played it at that point and then quit. So it's clearly there's an issue with new players coming to the game where they've noticed new players might play it for a bit and then just drop off. That's why they want to do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
But yeah, so their promise with all this stuff is that you'd be able to ignore these tasks. And if you have the game experience, you could utilize these boosts or milestones. Any rewards will be existing items. The equipment rewards given to free players will never be best in slot. And equipment rewards given to members could be best in slot, but only given for highest tasks.
It's a weird one to drop in there, but okay.
Which kind of harps back on like my older points, but item rewards will be both untradeable, unalchable. Tasks and rewards won't be available for iron accounts, and we're not looking beyond level 20 for skills. We have no intention of overly dictating an account's journey.
Cool. I mean, I'm
some contradictions, but yeah.
Overall, I get what they're saying, and I Yeah, I'm kind of on board. I want to see more about it. I love the idea of agility being free to play. That's doesn't seem like a terrible idea to me. As you mentioned before, it's like whenever I create a new account, the first thing I'm always like, God, I hate having no energy all the time.
Yeah.
And at the end here, they say, keeping new players engaged with the game is one of our highest priorities. And while we want to be agile with our changes, we aren't going to rush any decisions. We'll ensure that we continue talking to you, listening to your feedback, and building your ideas. Growing the community is very important, but we want to do it right. Please let us know your thoughts, and we'd love to hear any ideas you may have.
So, moving on to the state of PvP.
This is a big one.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of changes for a bunch of different things. Integrity, pulled, and discussed changes. That's like the 3 categories. So I guess we'll start off with integrity. So they want to increase the GP drop when a maxcape is PK'd. Right now you get like 12k. It costs 2.2 mil.
Yeah.
So let's change that. Obviously, they want to allow players to use looting bag in PvP worlds in specific areas, like the hotspots. So Camelot, Lumbridge, Varrock, Edgeville.
All right.
Yeah. They want to change how the imp boxes work because people are like throwing in their good items before they die in the imp box to bank them.
Right, because you can put 2 items in there.
Yep.
And it's great for like stackable items. So if you're out there doing the black chins,
yeah,
bring one of these bad boys.
Allow tier 10 emblems to be tradable. So currently only tier 1s are tradable, by the way. And pretty much the rest you put in shops or you like suicide to someone and that's how you trade it. And it's really hard to track like real world trading and all that stuff with this thing. So they want to allow tier 10s to be tradable.
It's a good idea. Keep the ones in between untradables. It gives you more incentive to keep leveling it up if you can.
Yep. When a player's been teleblocked, there's no way to tell when their time block timer has run out. They want to add that so like the player you're fighting is now non-teleblocked.
Must be a RuneLite thing, 'cause I swear I can tell when it's expiring.
Well, like if I TBU, how do I know when that timer's up?
Oh, I got what you're saying.
Yeah, besides like some shady third-party client. World 45 Deadman mode, they want to help the new players out pretty much. A 12-hour protections out of 6. Quest unlocks. The prerequisites and the quest would be Dragon Slayer, Animal Magnetism, Monkey Madness.
Nice.
And then half the rate of all the defender drops, so they're more common, twice as common.
Sounds good to me. That doesn't seem many people play that anymore, so fuck it.
On the base client, show when you're poisoned.
Oh, that's not a thing.
Yeah. They're gonna like fix the contrast with health bars to aid colorblind people.
Okay. It's always good.
Yeah, and on the mini map as well, because I don't know what, I guess green, some sort of green red or green something, green whatever, but I think some people see like the green dot is like yellow or something or white.
Yeah.
On the mini map, I forget. They want to make Teleblock spell free to play, so they're just gonna do it though.
This is like they pulled it 3 times, never passed, and now they're just like,
well, because they know why. Because like PDMers are dicks, and like the bot farms, that's ridiculous.
I don't always agree when it's like just vote no, but this is the one time this is the one poll that makes me kind of squint my eyes a bit and go, okay, what the hell's going on? Why has this not passed?
Well, it's not. This is all like they're just doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I can see why they're just doing it. They're like, we give you guys 3 chances to do what we want. Now we're just gonna fucking do it.
Yeah. They're going to remove sculling on Clan Wars, Duel Arena, and NMZ. Unsculling. So once you're skulled, you are skulled.
You skulled for life, baby.
Yep. And then proposed PvP poll changes. Wilderness Slayer keys. So Konar keys, but for Slayer tasks.
Okay.
They want to improve the Clan War setup options. So leaving a CC, if you're like first to 25 kills, and you're almost dead, you can just leave the CC and then get the kill. And then rejoining, all that stuff. Having a time delay if you could rejoin could balance this out. All this stuff. And then player capping. And right now, it's like kind of like you agree.
Yeah.
But there's an issue called flooding where one team will cheat and bring extra players in after a fight has already started. So they want to have unlimited 10v10, 15v15, 20v20, 30v30.
Cool.
I like all this. It's good stuff. Yeah, just making Clan Wars more Clan Wars friendly. Stuff should have been added a while ago. But clear teleblocks when a TBer dies. I really like this idea. So if someone teleblocks you and you kill them, that teleblock would expire. So if you're jumped by like 2 people and you're like in multi, the TBer typically is more defenseless, and you could just like spec them out, go all in, kill them and TB out. Like it gives more of like you're at Callisto or whatever. Like it gives more of like strategic, like your PVMer buddying guy cheese you out with like TBs and swaps. Toggleable KD ratio display HUD in PvP worlds. And then for proposed PvP changes, they want to rework the Gmaul to 60% spec.
Ooh, from 50. That's big.
Yep. They'll do one of 2 changes to get the Gmaul back to 50% if the player so chooses. A bounty hunter reward for 10 mil BH points, or make Grotesque Guardian Slayer Cast drop a new item, kind of like the clamp.
Interesting. I wonder if that would be tradable, because like if they let's say they only choose one or the other. One of them is going to be super expensive. The other one, your dude's going to need 75 Slayer, right? Not 75, whatever it is for gargoyles.
It would be tradable. Like I think it'd have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with like the tier 10s going to be tradable. I don't think they'd expect you to have to buy tier 10 emblems or like, you know, a bunch of tier emblems to like get a clamp. But Sarah tier is also a thing. So who knows? They want to buff overhead prayers from 40% to 60% in PvP.
Huh.
Yeah. Really like I don't know. I'm not the biggest PvPer, but I just feel like PvP in general is such a shit fest of RNG.
Yeah.
That you can pray the right overhead and like still get got.
Yeah.
One major thing is that this does like hurt rushing a bit. And I guess like if you're better at tri-breeding, this does make it more, or I guess hybriding as well.
And if you're a PVMer, you get caught, right?
Yeah.
Throw on those, you're less likely to die.
It does like increase the skill ceiling of PvP.
Yeah.
A new Wine of Zamorak spawn, deeper in the wilderness. So faster respawn rate and deeper.
Okay.
Reduce stats of the D'hide, the black D'hide.
And there it is.
Yeah, finally like a range nerf, because black D'hide is like splash central in PvP.
It's very strong for the price of it, and a lot of it was like, well, it's just the way it is.
Especially if they want to introduce like better magic protection or something.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous that Carol's, like it says here, Black Day has slightly less magic defense and range defense, but higher melee defense than Carol's. Like that was always crazy to me.
Yeah.
You look at Carol's and you got sleeves. How is the D'hide better for swords and shit? I don't know.
And then they want to reduce the Avernic Defender repair cost, because right now it's 1 mil.
Yeah, okay. It drops 1 mil, but it also costs 1 mil to repair. Typically, broken objects act as a gold sink. However, this one doesn't. We'd like to consider dropping the GP awarded to the peak heir to 75% of the repair cost to be consistent with other broken objects.
Yeah. And then Last Man Standing proposed changes.
Ooh, there it is.
Starting equipment. So initially when you started the game, you're handed a single basic weapon that didn't exist in the real game other than the recolor of the Toxmetal. Does that sound right? And then, yeah, so you start off with like a non-existent weapon. You loot chests, cupboards, and all that stuff. It gave the Battle Royale feel, but kind of sucks. And there's so much RNG that they want to have players set up in a full tribrid set.
Yeah, also people who are good at prey flicking, they kind of ended up really having an advantage.
Yep, so they want to give you unlimited prayer.
See, I'm surprised it's unlimited prayer. I thought I would go with 0 prayer.
You wouldn't be able to use redemption, rapid restore, rapid heal, retribution.
Okay.
Smite.
Interesting.
And like looting. Yeah, they want to have it so like the way you can upgrade your gears by killing other players and taking the bloodier key from them as a reward, and use the key system to like kind of upgrade. So instead of like looting gear and getting better gear and then killing someone and upgrading like that, you would have a baseline tribrid. You beat them, you get like a key, you can hold on to it and upgrade the key by killing more players, or just by opening it, and that's how you get your tier upgrades and get your advantage by like actually participating in killing players. So like the more aggressive players have an advantage by the end of it because they have more kills under their belt.
Seems pretty good.
Which, like, the one thing in the Last Man Standing, it's like, if you have the best gear, why fight? You're just going to waste your supplies, right? So this gives more of a reason to fight because you will constantly be rewarded. Yeah, other changes. So starting defense level would be 75. The stat restore timer has been reactivated, and however, it will count down or up until 75 defense. Every player has the ancient spellbook active. Dropping equipment will appear to all players, and supplies for no one. Loot crates exist, but they now roll on the same offensive table as a bloodier key. And shops that exist for players to buy and sell various items have been removed. And similar to the method used in 1v1 stages of the permadeath, upon a successful kill, all potions and food would be replenished.
Cool. So,
rewards. They pretty much want to know what we think about rewards in terms of, like, there could be cosmetic or new PvP items for certain PvP brackets. It is a PvP game after all. You know, you get tickets for top 5 finishes and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. It needs a shop like Castle Wars has, right?
Yeah. With the redesign, they would have to turn off LMS for a bit. All 2 people, well,
2
players that, like, still play it.
Ain't no one playing that with 2 players. You need 25. That's a sad thing.
But yeah, I actually really think this is, like, the way to go when it comes to Last Man Standing.
I don't know how I feel about the Tribrid setup when you first get in, but at the same time, like, it's...
So why not?
Yeah.
What do you not like about it?
The only negative is I worry that now that they trying to fix the problem with the prayer flicking, I just worry the problem now will be, like, a guy who's, like, leagues better at Tribriding will win every time.
That's
right?
the point, though.
I think it would be cool that, like, even if you're not good at Tribriding, like, you still have a fighting chance if you get the good gear.
I mean, you can still team up on someone.
Yeah, that's true.
You should be able to win by being better.
Oh, yeah. No, it makes sense. It's just, like, it would just suck that, like, let's say you and I were not good at Tribriding. So it would just... I would be disappointed if I win every time, and there was always the guy who could Tribrid. He's just like, he's going to win every single time. You know what I mean?
Like,
That's what would make it like, okay, this game.
I mean, I'm not good. I'm not bad. Like, I think as the average person, I can style on them a little bit. Yeah. I'm not, like, crushing it.
But I'm saying for, like, an average player, because everyone's getting boosted, right? Your stats are, it doesn't matter what level you are, everyone's on a level playing field. So,
I mean, if it's a battle royale, let's say it's Fortnite. Well, okay, no, Fortnite, depending on how big of a nerd you are about that game, it's like, well, this guy can just outbuild me. But, like, okay, let's say like PUBG, or, like, how about, like, Tetris? The Tetris
okay, I've
52?
played Tetris. I know Tetris.
We've all played Tetris. There's a battle royale on the Switch.
Oh, that game looks sick.
It actually would be the perfect example. You look at someone like, his name's Wumbo, I believe, who is a god at Tetris.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's like a 98% win rate over like 500 games.
Damn.
And he's extremely good at Tetris. Like, he does, like, he's just amazing. And I guess in a shooter, but like PUBG or something. But, like, I only use Tetris because, like, there's no it's all like 100% skill based. PUBG, you drop, you fight, you go into a building with someone on drop, or like Fortnite, they just go in through the right entrance and get a gun and kill you. That feels like shit, even though you're better. But so I'll stick with Tetris because that's all baseline level playing field. If you're like really good at something, you should be rewarded. Like, imagine playing a fighting game or like a battle royale that's like you lose just because like you don't have like the same shit as someone. Like, oh, I don't have an arm. Well, I'm gonna lose. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you know the point I'm trying to make. Like, if I'm like better than someone at Tribriding, I should be rewarded.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think part of it is like with a battle royale game. To me, it always seems like you'll have the advantage for being better. Like, even with Fortnite, if you're better at shooting people, obviously you're gonna for the most part win. But at the same time, the cool thing about Fortnite is that I could play it and I suck at the game, but I figured if I get the right equipment at the beginning, I have a chance of winning. right? With RuneScape, I feel like it might not be like that. Like how do you get someone who's not good at tri-birding to feel like they have a chance of winning, right? That's the only way you get people to keep coming back to the game. Like, well, I didn't win that time, and I'm not going to win most of them, but there is a chance that I will win eventually.
Well, like, I think the average person playing will be, like, not the best. Like, especially in the beginning, like, not to toot my own horn, but, like, when Fortnite first came out, I used to shred that game super hard. Like, I had an extremely high win rate. Like, it was ridiculous because, like, I just could out aim everyone. But now when I played, like, last week with a buddy, and I got dumpsters, people are, like, doing these crazy building strats. But, like, when I came back to the game, like, and I played last week, I was getting dumpstered because everyone kept playing and everyone got way better at, like, building, and, like, strats came up, and then I was getting shit on, like, all the time. It's because, like, I'm not good anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the fun of it is, like, you might be able to win, and you can still win. You don't have to be, like, in Fools or, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be, like, a top-level person to compete. The whole point of these changes, they very much come off as, like, we don't want a permanent PvP world. We don't want a permanent tournament world. We don't want a soft core PvP world where you keep your items and your resources. Like, because people ask for that to get better at tri-birding. It's like, why don't we just turn Last Man Standing as a playground to get better?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That is a good point.
Sure, there's training wheels, infinite prayer.
Yeah.
But that's pretty, like, necessary. And, like, you get basic tri-bird. We should mention that you can find other chests to open and you can upgrade your gear. So if you don't want to fight, like, you can run around and, like, scavenge and, like, oh, I got these. I have better gear now.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to make Last Man Standing as, like, the playground to improve and get you into PvP. And hell, you get rewards.
Yeah,
you get tickets.
It's good. Yeah, I guess I'm on board. It's the changes that they need to do because it's not working in the state that it's in.
Yeah, it's like taking two broken cars and then you're, like, putting them together. Like, one's got, like, a busted axle and the other one's got, like, a engine.
Yeah.
I don't know cars.
Got wheels.
Yeah.
At least 3. Yeah, I'm glad, though, because that's a change we do need.
Yep. And I believe that's it for proposed changes and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a pretty hefty one. So,
we still have Deadman mode. And
we got good old Deadman mode. What do we got for that?
So they're doing a rerun on 14th of June. Sorry. Yeah, the 14th of June. There'll be 2 open beta tests. 24th of May and the 7th. There'll be a trial login the 3rd of June. Good stuff.
Cool.
And then the summer finals will begin 22nd of June. 1 week or prepare. And then the 29th of June is when the final hours. And they're looking at the future of competitive gaming.
Sounds about right.
Yep. They like looking at these things like PvP bingo, clan cups. They like those ideas. And they're also looking at, like, an overhaul of a new competitive mode.
How's PvP bingo?
Well, like, a lot of communities and clans have, like, bingo events.
Okay.
Where, like, obtain this. Where, like, you and, like, a team can have, like, first one to get a full set of armor from these. And then, like, they categorize or, like, and you guys will, like, grind out and they do bingo. Like, but they have that, like, get a kill with the D spear. And then you, like, show Evans you did or something. Or get 18 tier 10s.
Okay.
They like that stuff. And then with the bounty hunter, they're now setting in place for plans. So leaderboards, disabling box traps, fires, bird snares, and cannons being set up in bounty hunter worlds 1 to 10.
Nice.
Cosmetic reward shop additions. That's all they have right now, but they obviously have way more.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've now actually started planning out new bounty hunter stuff.
And they teased it back in October.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago they first did it, and then they did it again this year at RuneFest. So,
yeah.
Long time waiting.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
That's it.
That's it. Wow, that was a lot to tackle through, but we ain't done yet. So before we quickly move on to our skill contest that we got going on, there was one community chatter news that I noticed, and I remembered as we were recording. Looked it up real quick. The Google Play Awards have been released. Remember that thing?
Yep.
And guess who won?
Fortnite.
Fortnite wasn't even in it, but Marvel Strike Force was the winner.
Wow.
So,
innovative.
Yeah, you know what? I saw a tweet as we were recording right now, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta pull up this game to see how it is real quick. It's your typical pay to win game. It's
bad.
It's turn based. You make a team out of Marvel characters, and you face. Have you ever played Summoner's War? Anyone who's played Summoner's War would know what I'm talking about. But you just kind of it's turn based combat. That's all it is, and it's on repeat. Basically, you have to grind materials from certain stages to upgrade things. You also have an energy bar, so you can only do X amount of fights per couple hours, right?
Yep.
You got to buy your heroes, cost about $10 each to buy one.
Yep.
Or you can get them through loot crates.
Or by watching Endgame, maybe. Thanos.
Maybe.
Hey, I just spent $80. I got Thanos.
Yeah. It's nothing special though. I quickly dabbled in it. It's like
it's just timing. It's with them like the movies and stuff coming out and the hype.
It's nothing exciting, and you get to a point where like I saw an option that said auto win. So you know that when your characters get strong enough, you're still needing to go back and grind the smaller fights, the lower fights, but since it's easy, you probably click auto win, it'll automatically fight for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, it won. I'm not totally surprised because the Google Play app itself is kind of shit. Like you can't ever find good games on it because it's always the pay to win games that are like, if you search any game or you're like looking the top games recommended for me, that's always the pay to win ones. And usually not done well. It's the game, by the way, Marvel Strike Force is a reskin of a Star Wars game that's exactly the same.
Which is probably a reskin of another game and a reskin of another game, reskin of Han Solo Just Dance.
Yeah. Yeah, so full circle there.
Yep.
Anyways, let's get into our skill pitches. So you're the one who came up with this idea last week.
Yep.
We were talking about warding. General Tractor did a whole write-up of what makes a good skill and his breakdown of the warding skill. So you propose, hey, why don't we spend the next week thinking if we can be more creative and come up with a good skill that would fit. And we used some of his guidelines of what he believes would make a good skill. And we said we'd spend the week coming up with some skills and see whose is better. I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna beat Dills, but I was like, I kind of like actually want to see if I sit down and like intentionally try instead of like, this would be cool. So being that ideas guy, like you on Reddit, I need a team, and then you filter by controversial, and it's like World of Warcraft meets Call of Duty. We're gonna make this game. I need developers, artists, musicians, someone write the story. Well, I have half the story written out. Well, I have the game design, but you know what I mean? Where it's like a guy who just has an idea, and then he's like, I just need everyone to make this game for me.
Yeah.
Be kind of fun to like actually like try that, to like be that person.
All right, well, let's hear it. Well, what did you come up with this week?
So first of all, this show was hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard. I had an idea, which was kind of cool, I thought, and then the more I like was like going through it, the more I like disliked the idea.
What was the idea?
So
this is your scrapped plan, right? This first one you're going to be pitching?
This is the only one I'm pitching.
Oh, so it's
just
like,
well, because I kind of stuck with this idea and I tinkered with it as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to like have like 80 shitty ideas. I'd rather just have one and then learn and be like, oh, this makes sense why Jagex can't come up with a skill. It's fucking hard.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the idea?
So let me pull it up. So the skill I came up with was astrology.
Ooh, astrology. Okay, that's interesting.
Basically, you like it's really hard to explain because these are all like fucking shitty, like just jot down notes, but I'll do my best. So it's something you require a telescope. Actually, here, let me go back. So I chose this because one, we don't have many mystical concepts. We have magic, runecrafting for like skilling, I should say.
Yeah.
What magic, runecrafting, and what was the
prayer?
And I guess prayer.
Somewhat.
Yeah. And General Tractor made the point to make, if we're going to add one, it should have a basis in the real world, but also, or it could, but also be like magical. And at least during this time, like in this era, astrology like was like very believed in. And also my next thing is that there's already kind of a base in the game.
Yeah.
You might have mentioned it in a lore segment, but with Callisto and Scorpion, all that,
right?
Their lore is based from like astrological like constellations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it'd be neat to like draw an idea from that. So it would work similarly to like how you get introduced to Herblore through a quest.
Okay.
I had two ideas. One was to rework the observatory quest rewards instead of being RNG based, which is I think is stupid as hell, where like you literally look at through the telescope of the observatory tower, and whatever like astrological sign you see is what your reward is.
Mm-hmm.
So you could get strength experience or like anti-poison, depending on what you saw, which is random. So rework that so that it would get you to like level 1 or like, I mean, level 3, or like unlock the skill itself, or add observatory 2.
Okay.
Which would expand on creating more of these observatories throughout the game, like at the watchtower, maybe a wizard's tower, just various places like that, whatever seems fit. But also you probably have to change the rewards from the first one still, which I think first one has really dumb rewards. So the idea is like similar to like mapping in PoE, like cartography, like that kind of a concept, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it, but you would start off as like throughout the quest, it would be like, hey, find Polaris or something, right? You start from like the North Star, and like, if you know, I don't know much about like constellations and stuff, but like you can use Polaris to find the Little Dipper.
Yeah.
And then Ursa Minor?
Yeah, Ursa Minor.
And then from there, you could like visually track and find the Big Dipper, which is Ursa Major, which I think is that Callisto? Big and Little Dipper, like stand for Big and Little Bear. I don't know. There's something like that. I don't know too much about all that shit, but
what's the story? Zeus turned into a bear and fucked this woman because the woman was like super turned on by it and got pregnant, but he cheated on his wife, and his wife found out. So then the wife then the lady gave birth to a dude who was a hunter, and then the wife sent the girl who got fucked by the bear into the skies with her son.
I don't know.
Something, I can't remember it.
Yeah. Like not less bestiality, more like, I don't know, just gameplay, I guess. Yeah, well, yeah. Anyways, so let's just say baseline, right? First quest, or the first like thing, interaction, you would start like the Little Dipper or whatever, and then you would have so I had like two ideas. One was like you would kind of go to like a observatory tower or to like a hotspot where you would set up like a telescope and a star chart. So that would be like your skilling items. And you could like do like a dungeoneering-esque type of escapade and go through each of the stars and finish the constellation, or do various tasks, and it would like complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there you'd get certain rewards. Talk about that in a bit. All that good stuff. And then from there you'd like unlock other ones, but you'd also be gaining experience. Yeah, does that make sense?
I think so. I need to hear what the rewards are, I think, for it to
the rewards
all come
will
together. Or like okay, so that's how you train it, right?
That'd be like part of like that's like part of the progression, is that you're filling out the constellations alongside with leveling, where like maybe you have to like go back and do this one like 3 or 4 times. You get like specific rewards linked to it.
Okay.
But that's just kind of like the early stages, I guess. That would be like, I don't know, mining copper or something. I don't know. But yeah, there'd be like puzzles or like some sort of interactive, maybe a minigame type deal. Or you go the aspect of like divination, where you can literally just sit there and capture essence and interact with players in that same area. Similar like wood cutting, where it'd be like more of a gathering skill instead of like you're interacting and you're like off on your own.
So there's a chance to gather essence from doing this skill?
I'm saying there's like the multiple aspects I couldn't quite decide on.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like there are a couple takes is why it's really jumble jambly because like, yeah. So finishing these, you could get like an essence or astrological fragment. With this, you could create like the two things because like what I was trying to do with this skill, I guess, was link PVMers wanted to train it, but then also skillers. So with these fragments, you could build them up. So let's say like you complete Little Dipper and then the Big Dipper, and then you get like the fragments. You could put them together and then go to a specific area and fight a boss.
Okay.
Or you could turn it into like another thing, which I'll talk about in a bit, which would be more geared towards skilling or like making money out of it. Following me so far?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So alongside with like the instance or interaction, the minigame as whatever concept, there could be hotspots. So temporary spots that pop up where it's like, oh, you go here and like there's like certain like constellations, you have to like go to a certain spot and you and a bunch of players can opt in to like do like a thing, like I don't know, like think of it as like a winter Todd or like maybe like meteorite mining from
RS3.
Yeah, or like a raid that moves around where you go to a spot with a bunch of people and you guys go into like do this shit together.
Okay.
So like either if you're gonna take like the mapping out, you're like going into the constellation type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is what I mean where it's really squirrely trying to make it like work. But within that, there could be like you have to. Yeah, this is really bad now that I keep trying to talk about it. The main thing
I think the problem, like, so I'm following, but like, so what would be the point of filling out your star chart? You know what I mean? Like, what's the end reward for that?
So you'd be getting like
besides the
resources that you could use to fight bosses that give you like either unique rewards or bonus experience to help progress your level, or you'd be able to get like resources which you'd use and like mainly to make auras, which I can talk about in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also a way to opt into like having specific. You could like opt out of not sharing like your data with people. So like you could make it like clan based.
Okay.
Where like you go into like a CC. You guys could be like efficient with like you go to this area. Everyone has set roles. You need like people doing certain skills or people doing combat. Where like yeah, trying to get like PVMers and skillers together. I was just trying to get like the basic idea together. So like exactly what, just because like.
So as you level up your astrology skill, it gives you more access to bosses and raids that would give you PVM equipment and resources.
Well, not necessarily. So it would open you up because like I wanted to be like a level 3 could get 99.
Yeah.
Or 126 or like anyone can. So like to make it flexible, there would be ways to like focus more on the skilling where like if you want to do like an AFK approach, like a blood rune type approach, you could sit there and like gather essence. But if you want to level it up quickly but also interact with people, you could go to like certain hotspots and do these like events where like you would need to like work together in like, so in like the free for all aspect where you're going with random people, like a winter Todd type of a concept.
Yeah.
You'd go into like this area instead of like you taking damage, like that constellation would, because they all like stand for some sort of animal or some shit like that.
Yeah, or
right?
an event.
You want to like try and save that. That would be like the life pool.
Okay.
And then so you'd have to like integrate skillers. They'd have like certain tasks to do. And then PVMers have certain tasks to do, you know? If you're an Iron Man or you don't want to interact with random like brain dead people, you could opt out of like sharing data, but you go in with the clan with like a preset, like efficient, like that's where it's more like rating in terms of like it's less of a shit show. It's like it's like back with Blast Furnace where you'd go to certain worlds and pay clans to do it efficiently for you.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah. And
then they opened up a free to play or not free to play, like a specific thing where you pay money and like the dwarves do it for you. Anyways, I didn't have like the actual like idea, just the concepts kind of, because the actual idea is like you could really kind of do anything, but like I want it to be, you know what I mean?
Think so.
So I focused on more of like
the concept, but you didn't think of like actual reward ideas.
Not reward. I have reward ideas, not like, because the main thing is like with warding, the big issue is like how the skill, like what you got from the skill, but like how you interact with it instead of the concept of it, and like what you did with the skill. I focus more of like what you did, where the skill, it just bridges the gap between PVMing and skilling.
Yeah. Okay.
With flexible rewards, where if you are like want to do like raids 3, maybe you have to grind out this shit in like astrology to do this and get these fragments or whatever. Anyways, so you need to interact with each other, all that stuff, help out each other, work in clans, teams, all that stuff, trying to get like community involvement. Main thing is, who cares? Rewards. I came up with like minor and major auras.
Okay.
So minor auras would be focused on like skilling. So it'd be like this percentage on like getting bonus rewards, or like getting like, let's say you're
permanently, you have them permanently, or is it like an item you have to?
It'd be like you would like, it would have like a charge rate.
But it's an item that you use?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would go in like either have like a new item slot, or you could just have it replace ammo. But that there's a lot of tricky things when it comes into that. But so like if it's a minor and it's for skilling, like MINOR, not ER. But it would be an idea could just like, you cut like an oak tree and you have a chance to get like willow logs from it, right? Like just something baseline for skilling, so you're not missing out. And then the major would be for PVM, non-instance PVM, and some of them would be usable in PvP. So like I don't know, like bonus accuracy, but like to like a very small extent.
Yeah,
that would like, it's kind of like a charged piece of equipment that you would use. It would lose charges, and that's where like the shards and fragments would come in. It's kind of similar to actually how this crystal thing kind of was released. But like it would give you a reason to go back and grind that skill, and then like go and fight bosses and stuff like that. You couldn't use them in instance bossing, mainly because like in like raids and stuff, because that would like really change the meta in like Vorkath and Zara. But yeah, that was pretty much like all I could really come up with.
An interesting idea. I think the problem when it comes with like auras is like, yeah, it's like it's hard because people are so worried about best in slots. So like an additional bonus has to be some sort of trade off to make people happy, right?
Yeah, I'm not focused on like 5% chance to heal like Guthans. Like I was just focused on like the main concept of like, because like, I'm not like a numbers guy or anything like that. Like it's kind of just like, would this be healthy for the game? I don't know. Like there definitely would be some issues, but like the main thing I wanted was to like bring in a skill that like isn't catering to one audience.
Yeah.
And that's like, and the astrology, like lore wise, would be kind of cool to like imbue your character with like mystical powers or like an aura, I guess. And just being to like kind of further expanding, because they do like touch upon like astrology a bit in the game.
It's a cool idea. I think astrology is a very cool direction to think.
Yeah.
For a new skill. You have like a lot of cool ideas, but I think it's like really complicated too, right? But I think that's like, what you kind of need with a new skill if you want it. Well,
like it's mainly complicated because like I just had like I kept having to go back and rewrite parts. I bet you my first concept would have made way more sense. But like I kind of kept going back and like rewriting certain parts, and so it's kind of like a mishmash of like 8 different ideas. But I wanted the idea of like by 99 you have your star chart like fully filled out. It's like, hey, this is a hotspot with like this is happening to this, or it's like this time of the month. It's, you know, time of the month. Go get some ice cream. But like go here, do this. Oh, like these like this world, like this, the world, astrology world's retarded. Or like I want to join this clan that kind of just does it a bunch. Like I don't know. I kind of wanted to just like bridge the like a lot of gaps that were in the community. Maybe I was like a little bit stretching too far, but like the main idea was to find a way to bring a reason for skillers and PVMers to like group. Like imagine someone who only does Theater of Blood.
Yeah.
And then someone who just like 3 ticks and 2 ticks. Like they just tick like people with the same mindset, but very different ways to play the game, wanting to find each other and meet up and go and like grind a skill together where they both get rewards that benefit them in very different ways. Or even have like a PvP or team up with like a dude. And it was like, here's your spade back, buddy. All right, let me do this. You do that. Like blah, 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 blah. Because I want to get this like this thing for PvP.
Yeah.
Or
it becomes like a symbiotic thing, right?
Yeah.
Symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. That was like the main concept. I guess if you're like listening, like you probably come up with some like pretty decent ideas to build on that. I didn't want it to be like Dungeoneering 2.0. Yeah. I didn't want it to be like AFK skilling 2.0, but I wanted it to give leeway to like, if you have a preference, you could level it that way.
Yeah. It's I think that could have potential like with more fleshed out with like
yeah.
But I like the idea of like a star chart and stuff and like I don't know.
Yeah. What'd you have?
So I got 2. Can I pitch them both?
Yeah, swimming.
No, not swimming. I decided to we'll leave that on the back burner because I was like thinking, and the 2 ideas were similar. I started off with 1. My first idea was like after we were talking after the podcast last week, we were talking a bit. And that's when I started thinking, I was like, oh, actually, I think I have an interesting idea. I don't know what to call it yet, but like it's like an instrument skill or like musician skill. I think like with General Tractor, when he wrote it up, like you want it to be good and fun. You don't want it to be just like an AFK skill, as you said. And then I was thinking like majority of people enjoy PVM way more than everything else. The skill has to somehow incorporate PVM. But you don't want a new combat skill that's going to raise the combat level, and you don't want a new combat skill where it's like, well, now we have melee, mage, range, and this bard skill or whatever. I was thinking maybe, so you train it is like you craft musical instruments of some sorts, but you could use those instruments in combat, but they'd be used as an item or maybe a weapon. That's what I was playing between the 2. Like I was thinking like war drums. You have some like giant bongos. Maybe it has charges. So then you just use it as an item. And then maybe your opponent, like this one, you'd have some for PVM or some for PvP, right? But you'd have maybe use it and the opponent's defenses are lowered by like whatever.
Yeah.
But it has charges. Or maybe you equipped it as a weapon and you use the special. Maybe it has a special only. You can't attack normally with it. Maybe you just use it for the special.
Like passive effects or something. So you're like grouping, like for bandos.
Yeah. So you'd have like buffs or debuffs for your opponents, and with different equipment as you progress through it. This isn't like an idea just for this. It could be used for the other skill I'm about to pitch. But I thought that. So in RuneScape 3, you can get an item called a lucky item, which is so you can get like a lucky abyssal whip, and all that is you get it from the treasure hunter. You get it from spending money in the game, or not if you're lucky, but you get it. And it has all the same stats, but you can't trade it. So it just gives you like this untradeable item that you have to use for the most part. You can't use it for anything else. And I thought it'd be cool to have like, let's say you're crafting a harp. It's like level 90 requirement. There's like a really rare chance to get a thing. You have their harp, which is tradable. You can trade all these items, or you get a better version of it called the perfect harp, which is a very rare chance of getting. It's a little bit better, nothing crazy better, but you can't trade it. Because I like the idea of being rewarded for having a high skill and like having untraded items from that skill. Because this way you're like, got 99 whatever musician skill. I can create these war drums that require level 99 to make them, but I'm the only one who's able to get the perfect version of that, which would like, I don't know, maybe the war drum normally gives you a 10% accuracy bonus, and everyone in your party, the perfect version would give you like, not 10%, but it'd give you like 12 or 13%. So it's a little bit better, but nothing crazy, because it would be fun to min and max. That was the first idea. But then as I was thinking about it, I was like, so kind of similar concept, but this skill, I was thinking the engineering skill. Again, I was like, what can you do with combat? And then I was thinking of the dwarf cannon, where you use it for combat, but it trains your range. Yep. So this engineering skill, like maybe instead of getting, maybe from doing that, the dwarf cannon quest, what's it called?
The dwarf cannon,
I guess. Once you complete it, maybe that'll give you like 3 engineering, so you can start doing this. But like maybe this would allow you to create a new type of dwarf cannon. It's not better, it's just different. Like something that maybe it moves slower and it shoots slower, but it does more damage on hit.
Mm-hmm.
This way, overall, DPS wise, you're losing DPS in a multi-combat zone. But let's say you're killing like dark beasts or something you would cannon, but you're only in single way combat and they have a lot of health.
Yeah.
So that it'll give it a chance to hit more. And then with this engineering skill, you'd be able to create other items like, I was thinking maybe like bombs, where you can use it and it will deal a fair bit of damage to that monster. I wanted to outweigh like, okay, I'm doing more damage, but I'm losing the food. If I want to get more kill, like I'm losing inventory for food. If I want to get more kills per trip, the food will give me more. But if I want to get faster kills, I want to maybe bring something from this engineering skill, like a bomb. That was just an idea. I was trying to think of other like ideas, like dwarf cannon, maybe creating different types of cannonballs, maybe make ones that shoot faster.
Yeah,
like a machine gun version of it. It'll probably be more expensive.
So like, would the engineer be like a crafting based skill?
Yeah, it'd be like a crafting
and the
skill.
Musician would be like a combat, so you'd gain like a musician type like experience.
Well, I'm thinking like the musician one. I was thinking like with both these skills specifically, you get the experience for creating it, but I was
also from using them.
I was thinking like, would you want to get experience from using them? That like maybe
the musician one I think would be pretty neat.
Yeah, like they're both kind of similar because they give you items that you can use in combat. And I was trying to think of more ideas with the musician one. I found like the instruments, like a lot of them, the ideas I was coming up with was like healing players or like a lot of supporty. Like they're like,
yeah,
you became a bard basically, right? Like a lot of support and buffs and stuff. With the engineers, more of like directly doing damage. And I felt like I came up with more ideas with it where like, even in PVM, you could have it so it's like a bomb, but maybe it takes 5 ticks for it to explode. But the problem is you set it down, and if your opponent hits it, maybe it blows up and it hurts you instead. So now you gotta weigh, like, is it worth putting these down? Because it's easily counterable.
Yeah.
And then with the engineering skill, I was thinking
just more like in that vein.
Well, I was like, I found out I came up with more ideas with it, or both kind of worked, but it made more sense. Where like, people loved dungeoneering, but no one liked it as a skill. But maybe having it linked to the engineering, or I also thought of like an archaeology skill. But like maybe that's where you get your materials, is through these dungeons that you have to find these old ancient materials that you use for it. I'm not sure. Yeah, those are my 2 ideas: were the instrumental skill or musician skill, and engineering, something that helps supplement your combat, and it would give you kind of options. Maybe like thinking, you're not just like bringing brews. Maybe like, okay, I'm going to bring 1 bomb. I'm going to bring 1 this or that. Easy to say, it's tough to think of a skill.
Yeah.
Because like even both those skills, I was like thinking like, how would you train them? And you're basically fletching, right? You're just making shit bank standing. Unless you use them, and that's how you got experience.
I mean, it could be a trade-off. You could maybe find like, at least with musician, it could be like every couple ticks, Because
with the engineering one, I figure you could do. I feel like I came up with more ideas. Like you could put like things down that stun people, or maybe you could place a bomb that blew up in like with Olm, how he drops those crystal bombs.
Yeah,
and it's like a 5x5 square. It seems like it does damage.
Yeah,
like you could set something up like that, but you would also take damage in it. So then I don't know. You place it and then you run. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be pretty neat.
I don't know. It's tough to come up with a skill though that like you want to make it fun, but also rewarding from training it.
And it's hard to not just like say dungeoneering too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did get some suggestions on other people's and their ideas for skills, and also what makes and breaks a skill.
Yep.
So let's see here. And if I missed your message, I'm very sorry. I'm mainly just looking at the Wilderness Podcast channel on Discord. So if you posted outside of that, I may have missed it, and I apologize. But anyways, Major League said, my idea would be to add mountaineering skill, and you add new mountain regions to the game. As you level up, you could use better and better mountaineering / climbing equipment, such as flax spun rope at level 10 and dragon grappling hooks at level 90. That's a cool idea. Like maybe maybe the hard part is having the right equipment to get to the very top of mountains.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, I missed some of these, but both Panty Drop and Chick both gave suggestions on when discussing the skills, even though we kind of already did that, but says maybe try to figure out how would the skill benefit the game as a whole instead of just adding another grindy skill. Is this a skill we truly need or just something else to do in the game? And is this skill that something we can do that can be expanded on, or will it be dead end like mining and fire making? So I think both of our kind of ideas are much more generalized. So like easily add more tiers as it goes. If for the first one, how would the skill benefit the game as a whole instead of just adding another granny skill? That's a hard one. Like you have to find a way to supplement what we already have in the game then without it being unnecessary.
Yeah.
And then his second one is a skill we truly need or just something else to do in the game. So kind of similar to his first point. And that's the thing. I think it comes down to like there really isn't any other skills we need in the game because we have plenty.
Yeah.
But somehow making either combat more fun or different, or like with yours, how it can open up different combat things and make it so it's like different, almost like skilling raids, but also having PVM involved as well.
Yeah, like I guess I didn't really have like a I had an idea and then how to get everyone to play together, how to make it work for everyone.
Yeah.
Not 100% nailed on like what exactly you'd be doing, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't really too worried about it, but then I'm like, shit, it's super hard to convey my point because like I know what I mean, I guess, but through my notes, it's kind of like not articulate enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough breaking it down because like I had all these cool ideas that I was like the more complicated it is, the harder I have like relaying it. So I was like, you know what, I just try to focus on the general concept of it and then like some of the rewards, ideas of the rewards. But at the same time, like those skills the rewards would be great, but training it would be boring. Whereas yours seemed like you focus more on making the training part of it fun.
Yeah, and like flexible and like kind of get everyone involved on like all tiers. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll like try and pick at it a bit more and get it more like defined and do like a separate episode type thing, like I did with I don't even remember what it was. But whatever I did and released it to the Patreon guys.
Oh, that was for warding.
Yeah.
Magpie said here it's a longer write up, so I'll condense it a bit. But he says basically when you break the skills down, like it's good to know if they are self reliant or interaction reliant. Like, would you be able to train the skill going from level 1 to level 99 without ever training anything else? You know what I mean? Like woodcutting, you can do that. Fire making, not so much.
Well, if you're an Iron Man. Yeah, no, you can't. But like in this, as a whole, you could easily just train fire making. You just buy.
You just buy them, yeah. But I'm saying like generally they work off each other. He said here most skills in old school RuneScape are self-reliant in that way, but it's also interesting that pretty much the only interaction reliant skill in the game is everyone's favorite skill, which is Slayer. You can't train it purely, but rather it offers a more engaging way to train your combat skills. He mentions Artisan would have offered the same thing, but to do with non-combat skills. And then he goes into warding, where warding fails, I think, boils down to how it tries to do everything and fit into every type of skill. And then my idea for a skill would be something that adds on to other skills like Slayer and would be most similar to Dungeoneering instead of just grinding dungeons. Dungeoneering would really work in OSRS if they made it central to things like raids. Just like high-level woodcutters are set apart into the game's realism by chopping more exotic trees, high-level dungeoneers should be set apart by the ability to delve into tougher and more distant and more challenging dungeons. If it was tied into Chambers of Zarek, making it a level 75 requirement, people would be upset that they can't grind easy GP for all of the 2 weeks, but it would be better for the game. It would allow for more engaging content that doesn't need to offer great gold rates, but why stop at just dungeons? That's why I like to see a skill like Exploration. Magic skill that ties like combat, agility, thieving, etc. to explore hidden areas. It's what Dungeoneering was supposed to be. And he makes a good point that all the content that is received very well or has been teased by Jagex plays into these elements. These are, raids, the 2 raids we have, and the new gauntlet. People are very excited for that. Yeah, that's the thing. Like Dungeoneering, I think it's fun to do, but it's a weird skill, right? So maybe one that's more not just focused on Dungeoneering, like the exploration skill, possibly. Zyrus is here. His idea although it's kind of far too late into the game to implement it. But his idea was cartography, kind of what you mentioned, mapping. It could have made exploration an integral part of the game from the very beginning, allowing players to discover every town and city, locating teleports, transportation spots, well as building their own map. Imagine messaging a friend and arranging to meet in Falador, but you've never been there, and all you have is signposts and vague directions from NPCs. On your way to Lumbridge, you pass through Draenor and Port Sarim. You map out the locations of farms and NPCs. Not sure how leveling would work, but as you level it up, you discover new things that would be added that you would have been able to see before. Quests like Underground Pass or anything that with any sort of maze would work really well with cartography skill. It could have a huge part of this release with the release of Zaya. Unfortunately, if it was released right now, people would quit. You'd have to revisit every location in the game unless they made exceptions for existing players. You'd have to walk between each one to discover the transports. That's a cool idea. I agree. I guess it is too late, but your time would be sweet. Like maybe you explore the maps, but at a certain level, you can start unlocking store locations, right?
Yeah.
Then you can look at your map. Yeno's suggestion for a skill was riding. A riding skill, you can add some tameable mounts or something. It would fit in the medieval setting as long as it doesn't interfere with agility. Mini games have mounts. I don't know how it would work in RuneScape because, like, fuck, they've really not want to put mounts in the game, so they've added every other thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Connor RS, he says he liked the idea of sailing, and I did too, but they didn't flesh it out well enough. And lastly, it was a message from Gloctopus. And his idea is the breeding skill, an extension of farming, hunter, or / summoning. So you'd be able to add a new room in your house, your player-owned house, where you can collect and breed wildlife from all across the map, from ducks to dragons. You can breed your pets / followers with varied stats and bonuses that would be dependent on both levels and luck to obtain, solving the new skill problem while using existing skills. So you could obtain wildlife to breed by training other skills, much like a pet will give you a notification in your chat, finding multiple creatures to be able to breed for different bonuses.
So like animal husbandry type thing?
Yeah, pretty similar. Yeah. Then they would have different traits, so having a rare pet would be a big advantage in breeding the traits. And then they'd have rare pets, like imps, that would randomly generate random locations on different worlds, requiring both communication with other players for information and existing skills and the luck to catch it. Hunters would come in handy here, adding a new excitement factor while playing when you see a rare breeding of foraging birds that has a knack for collecting gems on a quest. For collecting gems. And then his next point, being able to pick and choose what breeds you make, it makes it more engaging to one style of players. Skillers, questers, PVMers, and PVers would all be able to make use of the skill, relying on playtime and being in the right place at the right time and right time to train and perfect. Open doors, and they would open doors for future new content and endless possibilities. And lastly, hand in hand with farming for feeding the pets, herblore for keeping them healthy, construction for having a house for them, and hunter for trapping, and breeding level for overall ability to care for them. And that was the rest draft from Gloctopus. So it's a cool idea.
The need memes would be pretty real.
Yeah. She's a follower at some point, right?
Yeah. Guys, you can get Neve. Go. Sandwich lady.
Yeah, imagine random events. I got the old wise man. But RuneScape 3 has their animal husbandry. It's just an extension of farming, and I actually do. It's similar to what Gloctopus had mentioned, and I think it's really fucking cool, and I kind of wish we had it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can breed animals in that game, and there's they have different traits, and different traits mean like different things, and you are able to get like rare traits. So you could like, the idea is you keep breeding your animals to get the best one, right? Selective breeding.
Yep. And
eventually you'll get like a chicken that has all these like super rare traits if you're lucky enough. And I don't know the entire purpose. I think it's the purpose for the good traits or just to get the achievement. But there's a lot you could do with it, and I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cool ideas that could definitely show. But it's hard because even with warding, like a lot of these skills, like you could make the argument that you could attach them to something else, like the breeding one. I like the idea of it needing components from other skills, like Herblore to keep it healthy and stuff. But I think having it as its own skill, you know, it would probably fit better in the farming skill. I do like the breeding idea. It's cool, and it's super cool from RuneScape 3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thanks for writing those in. Those are some cool suggestions, and it's I like hearing the other ideas. Everyone has like unique ideas for the most part, right? I was surprised no one has a similar idea. Yeah, Deegan, you mentioned last week how you wanted to do a little bit of a giveaway for this.
Yep.
So you said anyone sending in suggestions or ideas or how we can make it better would all be entered into a raffle.
Yep.
So we have 8 people here, and we will do it live on stream. And for the Bond giveaway, our winner is Yeno. He was our number 5. You guys are all randomly selected numbers. Totally fucking rigged. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, congratulations on your Bond giveaway. The Bond. We'll definitely get that to you as soon as possible. And we had a pretty cool suggestion actually from Regan's Smash. Regan's Smash. And he said, have you guys considered running an event similar to have you guys considered running an event similar to Jeopardy event, but instead it's submitting an idea for a new skill via the Discord? So I really like that idea.
Yep.
But I'm thinking just so people can't see their own answers, maybe what we'll do, want to give it 2 weeks?
I was gonna say like a month.
A month.
Give people like some time because we like Hop Happy from the CC Discord from the community gave like 2 bonds and some gold as well.
Damn.
For a future event, and this would be perfect. And then we can add like that stuff in, and plus some of your stuff. We could have like a pretty like decent sized event.
So what? 2 bonds, 5 mil from your side.
Yeah.
And then we'll throw in another. See, how much is that going to be? That's like 15 mil. How much are bonds?
I have no idea.
I guess we'll make it an even 30 mil in total. How's that?
Yeah.
We'll make it a total of 30 mil giveaway. We'll select. It won't be just. We'll give the top 3 our favorites. We'll use those as the winners.
Yep.
So email us though, because this way, if you come up with an idea and you put it in the Discord, someone might copy it. But send us an email at thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. And okay, the deadline. When should that deadline be? You say a month?
Yeah, like 4 episodes from now.
4 episodes from now. Episode 137, we'll do the draw.
Yep.
All right, so by 137, we'll do we'll read them and we'll select our favorites. So if you have an idea, take your time, flesh it out, and submit it. But like, let us know what the rewards would be. Like, what's the whole point of doing this?
Yep.
How you would train it, and and then anything involved as well. Like if there's any extras you want to put in. Yeah. Like maybe it doesn't. The rewards could be like a musical equipment, but maybe at like level 75, you might be like, yeah, but there's a new musical raid or something, right? That's just an example. So maybe it unlocks something else, but that might not be the exact reward you want. It's just like an extra thing that unlocks at a certain level. Let us know from that too. But really, let us know the reason to do it, the rewards, and how you're going to train it. And then let us know, like, why do you think, what about this idea do you like personally? Like, why do you think it would work well in RuneScape? And then send us an email. Take your time with it, though. You got 4 episodes. Yeah, leave your username as well. So in that email, so that we can make sure we get the money to the right person.
Yep.
Is that it? Do we move on now?
Yeah.
All right. We're not going back in time this week. Normally we go back and revisit some older content that was released this week. Wow, I'm drawing a mad mind blank. This week in 2001, I was trying to do the math and I just had a major brain fart. Anyways, the point is nothing happened. So let's kick it over to the lore real quickly. Last week, we wrapped up the Chambers of Zarek and all the bosses within. This week, we move on to the next raid, Theater of Blood. The Theater of Blood is a large arena located beneath the castle, Versenhaza. Versenhaza is located in Meyerditch, which is located in the area of Mauritania. Mauritania is predominantly run by vampires. We discussed in an earlier segment about the vampires themselves. But to quickly sum it up, Mauritania is ruled by a family known as the Drakens. Vampires require blood to feed. So the Draken family had set up an elaborate rotating teeth system all across Mauritania. This was a method to prevent food sources from exhausting too quickly. However, most of the blood teeths come from Meyerditch, which is considered a ghetto in the southeastern part of Mauritania. The castle Versenhaza was once the home to a Saradomin queen named Queen Eferity. The Saradomin rulers were overthrown during the Third Age, where the Draken family eventually set themselves up. Currently, the ruler of the castle of Versenhaza is Lady Verzigvertur. The arena known as the Theater of Blood was mainly used as a source of entertainment. Citizens of Meyerditch were encouraged to go to the theater and fight against various experiments and abominations. They were promised freedom from the Blood Teeths and the right to leave Mauritania if they were able to succeed and complete the Theater of Blood. But more often than not, even victors of the arena weren't allowed to leave. Originally, the Theater of Blood was only meant for citizens of Meyerditch, but over time, others were allowed to enter the arena themselves. The citizens of Meyerditch did not prove to be as entertaining. They were inexperienced, poorly equipped, and often were not in healthy conditions in general. So that's basically the intro of the Theater of Blood, set up by the vampires as a source of entertainment, with the promise of citizens who complete the theater to be allowed to leave and avoid any blood teeths, although that proved to be a ruse. Now, anyone can enter the Theater of Blood. Next week, we visit the very first room. Now that we're back, this episode's getting a little bit longer, but we're going to end her real soon. But before we do that, we have to tell you about what we got going on. If you like audiobooks, podcasts, or reading physical books, you might enjoy Audible. You can get a free month and a free audiobook if you use audibletrial.com/wild. You get a free month and a free book. Probably just said that. I'm getting a little loopy, but yeah, check it out if you're into it. Deegan's been really ripping through those Harry Potter books, so I'm sure that's a recommendation from him. Mm-hmm. If you want to check them out too, go ahead and go to audibletrial.com/wild. You can also support the show directly by going to patreon.com/thewilderness podcast. Our supporter of the week is Nolem. So thank you very much for supporting the show. We greatly appreciate it. Yeah, who knows? You might be getting one of Deegan's bonus astrology episodes. I don't know what you want to call it. The Deegan rambles when he comes up with his new skill. He may or may not.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a pretty busy work schedule this week, but yeah. Maybe I'll sit down and like flesh it out a bit more.
But either way, we greatly appreciate everyone who supports the show. Can't thank you guys enough, but we can do it at least once an episode. So that's what we're doing right now. Thanks again. If you want to come hang out with us in game, that is Wild CC. Our Facebook is facebook.com/thewildernesspodcast. Our Twitter is @thewildernessrs. Our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. And Discord will be pinned on Facebook and Twitter. And like I said, if you want to submit a skill idea, it's just for fun. Our favorite ideas will be winning some money. Make sure you email us, because this way we can keep it all centralized and I don't have to kind of sift through Discord. We have a lot of channels on there, and it's easy to get confused about where to post something. So just send it to our email. But Deegan, you got your stuff.
Twitch, where do you RS?
And my Twitch is the Dills. I do these random RuneScape radio streams. I don't have an exact schedule down yet, but as I figure out my future work schedule, I'll be able to flesh that out. But I also have plans to do some VR streams when it comes out. Maybe stream some of these like mobile games I've been playing sometimes. I don't know. Trying to think of some different ideas. Oh my god, I'm getting notifications for that Marvel Strike Force game already. For 10 power cores, get 10 shards of any characters. These motherfuckers. Straight to the uninstalls. Anyways, our song of the week is going to be Arachnids of Vampyrium. This is a music track that is unlocked during the fight in the Niloka's lair within the Theater of Blood. And it was composed by Julian Surma. So that's it. We thought it was going to be a light week, but turns out not the case.
Yeah.
We got some heavy dev blogs dropped on us. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and tune in next week for 134.
Yeah, have a good one.
Take care, everybody.